God of the universe, look thou with favor upon these here assembled, and bestow thy guidance upon the members of the governing body in their deliberations. This we ask in thy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody to this beautiful sunny day. I hope nobody got flooded out today. In the event of an emergency, the proper method of exiting the council is through the doors behind you. Remember, never panic, always walk outside. Although if it's raining, you might get a little bit wet, but it's better to be safe than dry. Any member of the public wishing to speak during the public comment session at the end of the meeting, please sign in on the white sheets provided right here in front of me. Your cell phones. I know that everybody needs to have a cell phone because it's like your life preserver, but please turn them off. If you need to speak, go outside, speak on your phone. Do not let the phone ring because it will be annoying to everybody. Mr. Clerk, can you please call the roll? Roll the call. Call the roll. Long week.
Mrs. Ormond.
Here.
Javik.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Mohammed.
Here.
Cosby.
Excuse.
Roman.
Present.
Strano.
Here.
Yamakaitis.
Here.
Medina.
Here.
Hickey.
Here.
Mr. Alvarez.
Here. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 21st, 2018 regular meeting.
Council President, I move for approval of the minutes of August 21st, 2018, and ask for request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond.
Yes.
Javik.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Mohammed.
Yes.
Roman.
Yes.
Strano.
Yes.
Yamakaitis.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Hickey.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez.
Yes. We have some presentations this evening. Mayor Armstead, can you please come to the front? And I would like to ask Officer Daniel Hemingway, please come forward. Any relations to the writer? Okay, just asking. Oh yeah, Chief Hart too, I forgot.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
He may not be related to the writer, Ernest Hemingway, but he is related to some other good folks that I know in town here. I didn't know who he belonged to until today, earlier today, when his aunt came and said, that's my nephew. He comes out of the Vanditto family, a family I've known God knows how long. I mean, we played Pop Warner football together, your uncle and I. Your grandfather was one of the active members of the PAL. Back when every dad and mom was involved in the PAL. You couldn't, Tiger Stadium was always full on Sunday morning Pop Warner days because everybody in the city was there. So we've got some very good memories with your family, and we're just honored and delighted to be able to present you with this award. Daniel has been selected to be our police officer of the year, and that is quite an accomplishment. And it's a very honorable award. I always say that this police department that we have a lot of young members on the department now, and I always tell them that the better part of discretion, the better part of valor is that of discretion. And a lot of the young guys, when they go out and they patrol, they are doing a great job of community policing by just being people as well as their police officers. So I think that goes a long way in how we police our town, and it's establishing relationships. So we're very thankful for our young officers and the way they conduct themselves in our city now, and they're just doing an outstanding job. But without any further ado, I want to read the resolution, and it's a resolution recognizing Officer Daniel Hemingway as the 2018 Police Officer of the Year. And it reads, whereas police officers risk their lives each and every day in order to ensure public safety and enforce the laws of the land. and whereas Daniel Hemingway joined the City of Linden Police Department in 2015 and dedicated himself to protecting and serving the residents of Linden, its neighborhoods, schools, and families. And whereas since that time, he has distinguished himself on numerous occasions by proudly serving his community on the front lines of the battle against crime, and whereas Officer Daniel Hemingway was recognized by Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD, for his work to remove intoxicated drivers from our roadways. And whereas Officer Daniel Hemingway has consistently served with honor and pride as an exceptional example of the qualities and values of the Linden Police Department. And whereas in recognition of the sacrifices made by Officer Daniel Hemingway in the line of duty, the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden wishes to honor him and thank him for his service to the City of Linden. Now therefore it be resolved by the City Council of the City of Linden that they hereby recognize Officer Daniel Hemingway for his highly credible and exemplary performance of his duties, as well as his extraordinary bravery, by declaring him as the City of Linden's 2018 Police Officer of the Year. Now therefore it be resolved and further resolved that this resolution be entered onto the minutes of the Council of the City of Linden, and a copy be presented to Officer Hemingway in recognition of the foregoing, and is signed by me, Mayor Derek Armstead, and President of Council George Alvarez, and City Clerk Joseph Bodek. Congratulations, sir. Oh, this goes with you too. Let's close it up.
Mayor, if you can stay there. Next presentation is for the General Pulaski Memorial Parade. I would like to call Councilwoman Yamikaitis and Mayor Armstead to the front. Also, the Linden Contingent Marshal, Joseph J. Birch. Can you please join us up here? Ms. Haley Birch, who is Ms. Polonia, and, no, sorry, Ms. Polonia is Michelle Chipella, and Junior Ms. Polonia is Ms. Haley Birch.
Dobre. Well, you know what? I'll start off. Where is she?
What's her name? Oh, okay.
First of all, I'd like to
Mayor.
congratulate Joseph Birch on being the Grand Marshal. I'd like to congratulate his lovely daughter for being Mrs. Junior, Miss Polonia.
Haley.
Haley, I forgot her first name. And I'd like to also congratulate Mrs. Polonia and Michelle Cibella. So I got that right. So anyway, every year we put a contingent together to go to General Pulaski Day Parade. It's always a nice day for Linden. Linden's well represented, you know, and I get a chance to practice my Polish and say a few good words. So I'll say dobre wieczór wszystkim. That's good evening, everybody. Okay. Gratulacje, gratulacje, gratulacje. Okay. So I'll take the first resolution, of course, for Joseph Birch. It's a resolution honoring Joseph Birch as the 2018 Contingent Marshal to the Pulaski Day Parade in New York City. Whereas Joseph J. Birch has been selected to serve as the 2018 Marshal to the 81st Annual Pulaski Day Parade in New York City on Sunday, October 7, 2018, by the General Pulaski Day Memorial Parade Committee of St. Teresa's Linden, Inc., to represent thousands of Linden and Union County residents of Polish descent. And whereas Joseph J. Birch was born in Edison, New Jersey, and has been a lifelong Linden resident, Joseph is the second-generation Polish-American son of the late John and Patricia Birch. He is a devoted husband of Tracy Birch and proud father to Brendan, Kelly, and Haley. Whereas Joseph attended the St. Teresa's of the Child of Jesus School from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then Linden High School, where he was a member of the NJROTC program until his graduation in 1991. And whereas Joseph began his career in law enforcement with the Union County Department of Corrections and joined the Linden Police Department in 1997. He is currently assigned as a sergeant in the Patrol Division. He has also worked as a patrolman, training officer, school resource officer, and a juvenile detective. Whereas it is proper and fitting that Joseph J. Birch be recognized for the honor bestowed upon him to represent the city of Linden and its Pulaski Day Parade contingent at the 81st Annual Parade in New York City. Now therefore be resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Linden that they do hereby congratulate Joseph J. Birch on being selected as the 2018 Linden Pulaski Parade Marshal and thank him for long and dedicated service to the Polish American community. And be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the council of the city of Linden and a copy be presented to Joseph J. Birch in recognition of the foregoing. And it's signed by the mayor, Derek Armstead, myself, and George Alvarez, council president, and Joseph C. Bodek, the city clerk. Congratulations, sir. I'll let my colleagues present the others. They won't mess up the names like I did.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2008, I served as the marshal for the Pulaski Day Parade contingent from Linden, and I had the privilege of having this young lady, Michelle Capella, serve as the junior miss alongside me. Back then, we knew how well she would do. She used to come to the sashing dinners and sing the Polish national anthem. She was a mover and a shaker back then, and as I read this resolution to her, you'll see what I mean. Very proud of you, Michelle. Whereas the General Pulaski Memorial Parade Committee of St. Teresa's Linden Incorporated recently crowned Michelle Capella as a 2018 Miss Polonia to represent Linden at the annual Pulaski Day Parade in New York City on Sunday, October 7, 2018. And whereas Michelle is a daughter of Marek and Jadwiga Capella and is a lifelong resident of the city of Linden. She is fluent in speaking and writing in the Polish language. And whereas Michelle is a junior at Rutgers Business School in New Brunswick, New Jersey, where she is majoring in accounting and minoring in health administration. After finishing her undergraduate degree, Michelle plans on obtaining her Master's of Financial Accounting at Rutgers Business School. And whereas Michelle volunteers her time with the Mountainside Rescue Squad, is a member of the Rutgers University Polish Club and Women Build. On campus, she holds the position of Resident Assistant of Rutgers Business School Ambassador. And whereas in her spare time, Michelle enjoys biking, ballroom dancing, playing the flute, and spending time with her family and friends. And whereas the mayor and the council of the city of Linden are proud to have Michelle Capella representing the city of Linden as the 2018 Miss Polonia at the annual Pulaski Day Parade in New York City. Now therefore be resolved by the mayor and the council of the city of Linden that they do hereby congratulate Michelle Capella on being selected the 2018 Miss Polonia to represent the city of Linden at the Pulaski Parade in New York City. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be entered into the minutes of the council of the city of Linden and a copy hereof be presented to Michelle Capella in recognition of this prestigious honor. Signed, President of the Council, George Alvarez, and Mayor Derek Armstead. Congratulations.
Well, I'm really honored to be here tonight, and I can't believe I'm reading this to a very special person. I can see that her mom isn't here tonight, probably at a Board of Ed meeting, but Kelly's taping everything, and I see her grandparents here. My family and many other families go way far back with the Birch family, the Mineo family, so it's really beautiful to see a father and a daughter here tonight together to celebrate their Polish heritage and be a part of our parade this year. So I'd like to read this to my beautiful little friends. Whereas the General Pulaski Memorial Parade Committee of St. Teresa's Linden recently crowned Haley Elizabeth Birch as the 2018 Junior Miss Polonia to represent Linden at the annual Pulaski Day Parade in New York City on Sunday, October 7th, 2018. And whereas Haley Adriana is the daughter of Joseph and Tracy Birch and is the sister to Brendan and Kelly. And whereas Haley is 14 years old and is currently a freshman at Linden High School, where she's a member of both the dance company as well as the marching band, as a member of the band front. And whereas Haley has been a member of the Mystic Vision Players, a nonprofit theater company based in Linden, New Jersey, and she has performed in 7 productions with the program. And whereas Haley, in her free time, enjoys swimming, riding her bike, and taking trips to Great Adventure and the Jersey Shore. And whereas Haley recognizes the importance of family and heritage and is extremely honored to have been chosen as Linden's Junior Miss Polonia for 2018. And whereas the Mayor and Council in the City of Linden are proud to have Haley Elizabeth Birch representing the City of Linden as the 2018 Junior Miss Polonia at the annual Pulaski Day Parade in New York City. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Linden that they do hereby congratulate Haley Elizabeth Birch for being selected to 2018 Junior Miss Polonia to represent the City of Linden at the Pulaski Parade in New York City. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be entered into the minutes of the Council of the City of Linden, and then a copy hereof be presented to Haley Elizabeth Birch in the recognition of this prestigious honor. Signed by Mayor Derek Armstead, Council President George Alvarez, and City Clerk Joseph Bodak.
What are we here till at least midnight? Once again, I'd just like to thank the mayor, the council president, the city council for honoring us and all Polish Americans here in Linden and also in Union County here this evening. I just want to make sure we invite you all out to the parade on October 7th. Be leaving from St. Teresa's Church. We'd love to have as many of you as possible. Look forward to a beautiful day, hopefully, fingers crossed. And once again, just thank you, and also just thank you to Sue Lukenda, her husband Chris, and many of the members of the committee who made this possible, for myself, for Haley, and for Michelle. Thank you.
Hold on a minute. I would like to introduce Mrs. Sue Lukenda. She's right here. She's the president of the Pulaski Parade, correct? Will you say a few words, please?
Good evening, everyone. As Joe said, I'm very proud of my Marshall and my Polonias. The parade is going to be October 7th. We'll be leaving from St. Teresa's approximately around 10 o'clock, so we'd love to have as many people, and you don't have to be Polish in order to come to this parade and have a great time. I will be sending out information. You can always call the St. Teresa Rectory. It's $10 a ticket per person and $5 for children under 10. So I'd really love to see every one of you at the parade. Have a good night.
Okay. In front of the podium?
Well, I'll read it and then we'll do it together.
At this time, I would like to call Ms. Tina Soshi of La Dance Studio.
She's playing up for dance. She's retiring. From the dance? From the dance studio. Tina, do you want to bring your husband up with you? You can bring them up. Oh, he's like, it's your moment. The husband's saying it's her moment. Well, a few weeks ago, I received a phone call, and it was regarding this wonderful woman who I don't think we've met before.
Are you Gretchen?
I'm Gretchen.
We've talked.
We've talked. We've probably talked about fundraisers and things. So, but I do know through many friends and acquaintances and being involved in school that this is a wonderful person who has been extremely influential and a mentor to many, many girls and boys. I'm not going to leave them out, in our city. She's had many accomplishments, and I'm really honored to be up here with the mayor today to say a few words about her that came from your friends and people you worked with, because they think the world of you. So it's nice that they're all here today and gathered together. Whereas in 1978, Miss Tina Sochi's lifelong dream came true when she opened the doors as the founder of Linden Dance Studio in Linden, New Jersey. And whereas Miss Tina has dedicated the last 40 years of her life to her many students, teaching not only the love of dance, but the importance of self-respect. Dance teachers have the opportunity to make a difference in lives of young people and instill a passion for their art in the next generation of dancers. And whereas Miss Tina began training at an early age with Luba Zurlo, Charles Kelly, Phil Black, and Frank Hatchett at the Farworth and Howard Dance Center in New York City. Whereas Miss Tina was certified by the Dance Educators of America in 1977 and has been a member of both the Professional Dance Teachers Association and Associated Dance Teachers of New Jersey since 1986. And whereas, under the direction of Miss Tina, many of her students have competed locally and nationally, receiving many top awards and commendations. Her students have gone on to perform professionally with Walt Disney World, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, Disney Cruise Lines, Orlando Magic, and New Jersey Dance Devils teams, just to name a few. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the mayor and the council wishes to express their gratitude and thanks to Miss Tina Sochi for her dedication and commitment to the city of Linden and her dance family. The mayor and council also wish her a happy, healthy retirement. And be it further resolved, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be placed in the minutes of the City Council of the City of Linden, and a copy hereof be presented to Ms. Tina Sochi in permanent recognition of the foregoing. Signed, Mayor Derek Armstead, Council President George Alvarez, and City Clerk Joseph Bodak. Do you want to say a couple words before you?
Just a couple of words. She does an outstanding job, and she's been here, it seems like almost forever, you know.
Oh, yeah.
She
young when I started.
my daughter, my 21-year-old daughter, attended her dance school many, many years ago. And I just want to tell you, it's a very pleasant place to stop off. She was going on Saturday mornings. I got a chance to meet a lot of different people who were dropping their children off. It was a great experience, and my daughter enjoyed it. And I know that many others in town have enjoyed it and benefited from your tutelage, I'll say. Okay. Now your husband didn't want to come up, right? Now are you retired, sir? Come on. Are you retired? Yes, sir. That's why he didn't want to come up, because now you know. Now that you're retired, he's gonna see you all day.
No, he's only retired from one job. He's only retired from one job.
Are you still working? Well, you're going to have to now that she's retired. You're going to want to get a second job. No, congratulations to you both. You're blessed to have such a wonderful wife who's always giving back to our community, and that is so important. It really is, you know. And now we're going to take a couple of pictures, okay? Come on up. If you want to say a couple words, too, you want.
Okay.
I just want to thank everybody that turned out for me today. I know almost everybody in this room. I've taught half of them in this room, and if I haven't taught them, I've taught their children. It's been a great pleasure. I was only 2 when I opened up my studio 40 years ago, so I'm still very young, but I've seen the youth of Linden turn into some wonderful people, Miss Polonias and Miss Junior Polonias and the Birch family. They've all been part of it, as well as so many of your children, and I just am so grateful and thankful for this honor tonight. And thank you for my friends for bringing it to their attention.
We're thankful for you.
At this time, we're going to ordinances on hearing. We have an ordinance table from last month, 6258. We are being held for further consideration. I would like a motion to table the same ordinance until the October meeting. Need a motion?
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. The second one, 6259, an ordinance is being removed from consideration, and I will ask for a motion, please.
An ordinance, I'm sorry, go ahead.
6259, a motion to remove it. Anybody? So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Before we continue, please, everybody take a deep breath, wake up, and let's move on. Okay, ordinance on hearing 6263. Mr. Porter, can you please read that?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2, Administration of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23, 1999, and approved November 24, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Add new section 2-13.15 as follows, fire watch work.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any communications received?
No, sir.
Anybody wish to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I make a motion to close the hearing on ordinance number 62-63 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read 6264?
Bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $430,100 for the acquisition of various items of capital equipment for the Department of Public Works and authorizing the issuance of $408,595 in bonds or notes of the city for financing part of the appropriation.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communications received?
No, sir.
Does anybody want to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I wish to close the hearing on ordinance number 62-64 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read 6265?
An ordinance amending Chapter 7, section entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times on Certain Streets, Section 7-10, Parking Prohibited at All Times on Certain Streets. Add West 15th Street, both sides, 60 feet west from the curb line of Southwood Avenue, East Linden Avenue, south side, 100 feet west of Ashton Avenue, and 50 feet east of the curb line.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communications received?
No, sir.
Does anybody want to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I make a motion to close hearing on ordinance number 62-65 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Porter, can you please read 6266?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and is amended and supplemented, that Chapter 7, Traffic, shall be and the same is hereby amended as follows. 7-33 Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A Handicap Parking on Street, add 503 Rosewood Terrace, 1 space.
That's it?
That's it, sir.
Oh, boy. Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communications received?
No, sir.
Does anybody want to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I give a motion to close the hearing on ordinance number 62-66 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Buda, can you please read 6267?
An ordinance amending Chapter 7, Section 16, entitled Parking of Trucks, Section 1, that Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-16, Parking of Trucks shall be, and the same is hereby deleted in its entirety and replaced with the following. 7-16, Parking of Trucks and Trailers.
Has this ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communications?
No, sir.
Anybody wants to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to close the ordinance on, close the hearing on ordinance number 62-67 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Buda, can you please read 62-68?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Delete Section 7-15.1, Parking Decals in its entirety. Add Section 7-15.1, Parking Details.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communications received?
No, sir.
Anybody wants to speak on this ordinance?
Council President,
Yes, sir.
we're just checking with the locations of these parking decals. I think, are these the parking decals in the 3rd Ward? Hussa, East Price, East Blanky Street? I want to be clear on what streets that these cover.
I believe this was a plan put together by the police department, revising the parking decals and parking requirements in certain sections of the city that are listed in the ordinance.
Okay, so I stopped because this ordinance is very broad. If you look at it, it doesn't talk about what streets. There's probably, I want to say maybe 20, 25 streets on here. So, Council President, we're going to think of a way to get this out to residents that live on these streets. I believe this was a study that was done around the train station area because there has been phone calls made to myself and to the mayor's office in regards to parking around the train station. So a traffic study was done with the police department, seeing which streets are being impacted by people who are not parking at the train station, but instead on the side streets, which as a result have led to residents not being able to park in front of their residence. So there's a list. If anybody wants to go into the clerk's office to ask if their street is one of them, I would encourage that. But other than that, I think we should post this on the city website to let residents.
Councilman, it is under the ordinance section.
Okay.
Anybody else? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I make a motion to close the hearing on ordinance number 62-68 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Buda, can you please read 6269?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 7, Traffic, of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented, that Chapter 7, Traffic, shall be, and the same is hereby amended as follows: 7-33, Handicap Parking Regulations, 7-33.1A, Handicap Parking on the Street, add 905 Walnut Street, second floor, one space.
Has the ordinance been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
And has any written communications received?
No, sir.
Does anybody want to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I make a motion to close the hearing on ordinance number 62-69 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mr. Buda, can you please read 6270?
An ordinance amending the Infinium redevelopment project, redevelopment plan to the, and referring it to the Planning Board for review and comment pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law, NJSA 48:12A-1 at sequence.
Has this been properly published and posted?
Yes, sir.
Any written communications received?
No, sir.
Anybody wants to speak on this ordinance? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I make a motion to close the hearing on ordinance number 62-70 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. The consent agenda. All items listed with asterisks are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or citizen so request, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda, items 1 through 5. Does anybody wish to remove an item? In that case, may I have a motion for all 5 items, please?
Yes, Council President, I make a motion for the approval of consent agenda 1 through 5 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes on 1 through 4. I will abstain on number 5 since it has my name on it. Okay, let's go with committee reports, and we're going to start it off with Councilwoman Norman.
Thank you, Council President. Mine is just really brief for this month. Just wanted to give you a quick update on Wells Park. The parts are in, and we are just waiting to confirm our installer. Hopefully, should I say, we were planning on having a spring grand reopening, but if the parts are in and we can get something rolling, I would love to do a beautiful fall grand reopening, but it's a pipe dream. It's wishful thinking. Just also want to just make everybody in the community aware of the utility companies that are walking around, knocking on your doors, asking you about clean energy. It is a bona fide company, but you don't have to open your door. It is not a company that is sanctioned by the City of Linden. We have not endorsed them. We have not asked them to come and knock on doors on the city's behalf. This is strictly what their business is doing. Under no circumstances do you have to feel compelled to show them your utility bill. You do not have to show them your social security number or share anything with them that you don't want to share. As a matter of fact, I recommend not really giving them any information, and if you would like to do something in terms of saving energy or getting clean energy, you should look up information and make the phone call yourself. You don't have to adhere or to be threatened or intimidated by someone that is coming to your door. I'm also still seeing a lot of bulk garbage on corners and in front of houses when people are moving. I'm just kindly asking you, please don't do that. It makes our neighborhoods look awful. If you are moving, you pretty much know at least a week in advance. No one closes and say, we're closing tomorrow, let's get the stuff out. You have a little bit of time. All you have to do is just give me a call, 908-370-6482. I will be more than glad to call Department of Public Works on your behalf and schedule something for you. Just please, just do not drag it out to the curb. Also, I would like to remind everyone that not this Saturday coming up, but the following Saturday is our annual September to Remember. I'd like to see everybody from the First Ward come out and have a great time. We're going to have rides, food, all different vendors, different types of booths, and it's just a great opportunity for everyone to get together and have a wonderful time. We have some dying trees that are in our neighborhood. Trust me, we are going to get to them. The list is over 200 trees long, and we are getting to them in order of priority. Those that are dangerous will be addressed first, followed by those that are just dying and ugly. And then we will eventually get to the stumps, so please be patient. Safety is the first priority. If there's a tree that looks like it might topple over in a windstorm or it has dangerous branches falling, those are the ones that we are addressing as a priority. And just once again, just remember, our kids are back to school. They've been to school for the last 2 weeks. Please continue to be mindful of the children. Slow down, stop at stop signs. Just please be careful. And that's it. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Javik?
Yes, I'd like to first start off with the Budget Review and Finance Statement for September 18th, 2018. Approval is requested for the following finance actions. Number one, the payment of bills totaling $1,984,204.01. Bills have been signed by the Mayor, Council President, and Finance Chairman, and a detailed check register and vouchers are on file in the Clerk's office. Number two, we are in receipt of the investments made by the City Treasurer for the month of August at the rate of 2.75%. That's a really good rate. Thanks, CFO. I move for approval and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
Okay, and continuing. Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend, the Rolling Thunder Motorcycle Ride will be organizing at Warnaco Park at 8 a.m. to bring awareness to the POWs and MIAs that they are not forgotten. The ride will go down St. George Avenue toward Rawway around 11:30 and 12:30 p.m., so be prepared for road closures. As First Ward Councilwoman said, Saturday, September 29th, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Mayor Derek Armstead and the Linden Cultural and Heritage Committee present the September to Remember Street Festival. This is going to be our biggest event of the year. It features a classic car motorcycle show, music, food, contests, carnival rides, and vendors. This will be even larger than last year, so I hope to see you all there. In our second ward, on the corner of Brook and Knopf, we have created a temporary drop-off spot for firewood. These are hardwoods and will be fireplace size, but will need to be split. A lot of them are large at this point, but they're breaking them down a little bit for you. This is available to all Linden residents, and it's free. We used to drop off in people's driveways, but we're going back to the program, but we're just keeping it in one area now. Also, city trees and stumps have been getting done. If you're on the list for a tree trim, please be patient. You're not on the list. If you're not on the list, contact me. I've been getting a lot of reports in the ward also for unleashed dogs. Please, for everyone's safety, especially for your pet, use a leash before a problem is created. As I had mentioned last month, please remember to lock your car doors. Don't make it that easy for the criminals. We're getting a handle on car break-ins, but we still need everyone's help. And also, feel free to reach out to me with any concerns or issues in the second ward or the city. I can be reached at 908-494-4608, or my email is bjavick, Javick, at linden-newjersey.org. Council President, end of report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Brown?
Yes, all right. So I'm going to be quick as well. For the third ward, I just want to go over the streets that this does affect the parking decal, because this is something that's been asked for a lot. East Blanky Street from Northwood Avenue to Maple Avenue, Husser Street from Maple Avenue to East Blanky Street, East Price Street from Wood Avenue to Roselle Street, East Elizabeth Avenue from Northwood Avenue to Todd Place, Ziegler Avenue from Elizabeth Avenue to Roselle Street, and Luckland Place, the entire length. and East Blanky Street from Northwood Avenue to Maple Avenue. Oh, wait, I said that one already. And Todd Place, entire length. So I will be sending out letters to residents on these streets as well, trying to get it out there as much as possible, because I understand that traffic is an issue as well as parking in many parts of our city. Like I said, there's other streets that are listed on here as well. We mentioned September to Remember. It is a festival coming up. There's a couple of things I've been working with the mayor on, as well as with our CID district, that we're doing this year that we didn't have last year. This year we will be having a Liberty Science Center coming back that will be at the promenade for the kids, for activities. CID will be doing free pictures. We hired a company to come in to do these pictures where your face gets imposed on these different type of magazines. We're trying to be a little bit more community-based events that we're trying to do. We're also trying to get some of our restaurants to eat downtown, to offer tables in our downtown during that time. So you're going to see ordinance on here waiving a fee, because what we're trying to do is encourage more eating outside through our restaurants. So that's something that we're working on as well. During September, remember, there are another 1 or 2 booths working with the mayor's office that we're doing geared towards children, and I know that the recreation department is working on something towards seniors as well. So I'm hoping that this year will be a little bit different. And are we doing anything for Municipal Alliance? All right, so the Municipal Alliance and the Mayor's Youth Commission, we're doing tables as well. So hopefully, with the good turnout that we have here, people will take advantage of some of these tables that are out there and the information that's being put out there as well. We are doing, I confirmed with Frank Dan as well as Tony Copland, we are doing another, the 3rd annual wine tasting event. Details are going to be coming out in regards to that. That's going to be October 5th, though, that we're working on. Other than that, that's all I have. End of report.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Mohammed? Oh, sorry. Councilman Roman?
Good evening. Start with committee reports of public property. I want to read a letter given to me by Tyrone Gibbons, our traffic maintenance supervisor. Dear commuter, as next quarter fast approaches for renewing your parking pass, we're happy to announce that the upcoming quarter and moving forward, you will be able to renew your parking pass online. You can go get an application from www.linden-nj.org, clicking the click link for railroad parking permits. So go ahead and do that. You can pay by card on there. I know I'd reached out to a lot of people last month about public safety telecommunicator dispatch jobs. You can go to the clerk's office and get an application, or you can go online to civil service. The application is also up on there. That's also advertised on there, just for all those that reached out to me. Let me continue on here. Street paving, West Stimson, East Morris, parts of Clinton Avenue were paved this month. They look good. A lot of people got new aprons. Please let me know if there's any issues. I've been combing over the streets. They look good. For those of you asking for a new street light on Lynn Court, Councilman Medina's going to introduce a motion to get the light for you guys after that break-in you guys had down there. This is the 2nd new light in the 6th Ward this year. If you need a street light, call, text, email. I'll go down there. I'll see if it's a valid need, and we'll get it on the agenda for you guys if it's needed. The September 15th 6th Ward garage sale went well. We had about anywhere 15 to 18 participants. In the spring, I'm going to take what I learned from this first one and maybe learn a thing or two from the 9th and 10th Ward as they do theirs this weekend, and make ours better, get more buyers into our neighborhood. Trash day for most of the ward is tomorrow, if you haven't put it out. The only ones that it's not, actually, they're in the 7th District of trash pickup. That's 10th, 11th, 12th, East, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th and Emma, which is next week, next Wednesday. My original flyer stated that it was 9/19. I went out to only 2 streets, but if you do put it out, after the meeting, I'm gonna go out there, check if anyone did put it out, and I'm gonna have DPW go out there and pick it up for you guys. So thank you for that. Meridia project continues slowly. If anyone has any issues, please let me know. I'm constantly checking in with them, with the project managers, see how we can make things better for the residents as construction continues on. On September 25th, I'm having my second 6th Ward meeting. I had one earlier this year. It was overwhelming success. It will be September 25th, 7 p.m. at the VFW. I wanted to make the basis of this meeting to talk about the upgrades going to Wheeler Park. We have Freelder Hudak coming slated to speak. He's going to give us an update on the spray park as well as other expansions that are planned for Wheeler later on over the next few years. Along with the Freelder, County Police are going to be present. They patrol the park. Any residents, and I know there's plenty on Stimson that have issues with the park, please come and voice your concerns. Also, the Parks Department and Parks Maintenance will be there. They manage the park, and they will hear your concerns as well. I've asked Chief Hart to come speak with us, along with other members of the police department. They'll be there to answer any questions or take down complaints so that the police can better serve the residents of the 6th Ward. Last time I had this meeting, it became political because of an upcoming election. I had asked not that it not happen. I'm asking this governing body again to not make this meeting political. This meeting's about, instead make it about the taxpayers who are looking for the best bang for their dollar, for the tax dollar. That's what this meeting is about. It's not about an election. It's about the people speaking to their elected officials on multiple levels of government and those officials finding solutions to their real problems. This is why they hired me, and I ask all of you on this governing body to respect that. And bring some pizza too, and some drinks if you guys want to come. 6 Warders. September, remember everyone's mentioned it's September 29th. The pizza contest, I believe the pizza contest will be 1 p.m. We got a prevalent 6 Warder, as I mentioned last month, sitting in the audience, and he's going to be looking to defend his title. Councilwoman Michelle Yamakais is going to be up there with me. It's always a good show. A lot of people come and stand and wait for it, and it's really an awesome sight. So if you are at September, remember, please come down to the stage during that time. And I guess that concludes my report, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Strano?
Yes, Council President, I have in my hand the personnel report for September 18, 2018. 6 items on here. The first item is in the police department. Under letter A, it's amending the date of hire for police recruits from 8/31/18 to 9/6/18. And item number 2 is in the Department of Community Service. A is accepting an interdepartmental transfer of Emerito Ruiz, computer service technician, from the police department at the existing salary effective September 24th, 2018. And B is the approval of the seasonal list. The list is on file in the city clerk's office. Item 3 is the public property / recreational services. Item A is transferring audio-visual staff to be under the mayor's office effective October 1st of 2018. And B is the accepting the resignation in good standing of Heron Anderson effective September 25th of 2018. Item C is approval of the seasonal list. The list is on file in the city clerk's office. Item 4 in the municipal court under A, approval to hire Dana Bernardo and Luz Rosas as part-time clerk 1, paid for out of the POAA account effective September 24th of 2018 at the hourly rate of $18 an hour, not to exceed 19.5 hours per week. Item 5 in the Treasury, the hiring of Daniel Sobolewski as a full-time clerk at the annual salary of $34,548, effective September 24th of 2018. Item number 6 in the personnel, the appointment of Susan Scott Braxton as an affirmative action officer with an annual stipend of $5,300 that will be prorated effective September 1st of 2018. Item B is the FMLAs for employee ID number 006025, which will be intermittent from 7/23 18 to 6/25 of 19. Employee ID number 9091781 from 9/5/18 to 12/5/18. Employee ID 000689, intermittent from 8/15/18 to 8/14/19. Employee ID number 908972 from 9/17/2018 to 10/21 of 18. Employee ID number 909412, intermittent from 7/1/18 to 6/30 of 19. Employee ID number 909514 from 7/27/18 to 9/10 of 18. At this time, we've had the practice of asking if there was any questions on the report, but I was advised by the city attorney that this may not be the case.
Excuse me, thank you. That is correct, Councilman. As everybody is aware, the Open Public Meetings Act allows you as a body to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters. We've done that last night in executive session. We also did that this evening. It's my preference that as to the items on the personnel report, that you indicate your vote, yes or no, but that there be no discussion on the actual individual or individuals on the report.
Okay, thank you, City Attorney, for the, appreciate the clarification. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion. I'm going to move for approval of the report and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
Okay, going to my community report. I would like to mention, I don't want to steal any of First Ward Councilwoman Mrs. Ormond's report, but if there's anybody that's soliciting in your neighborhood, please remember that we modified an ordinance that covers peddlers and solicitors. They have to be registered with the city before they can go walking through anybody's neighborhood and knocking on any doors. So if you should encounter somebody of that nature, ask them for their registration with their identification on it. If they do not have that, just remind them that that's what's required. This came up recently at my own home. My wife's been paying attention probably better than I have, but she had somebody come to the door, and that was the first thing she said, "Where is your city registration?" They didn't know what to say to her, and they put their tail between their legs and they left the neighborhood. I don't know if they went anywhere else in Linden, but at least they're aware that people are, educated with the fact that these people that are going to be soliciting need to have registration in the city of Linden. If they don't have that card, tell them, and you don't have to speak to them any other further, but just to let them know that they cannot do what they're doing unless they can prove that they have registered with the city clerk's office. I want to mention that we're going to be holding a community meeting on September 25th, which is next Tuesday. This meeting is hosted by the Tremblay Point Civic Association. It's going to be held at the 7th Ward Rec Center at 7 p.m. The 7th Ward Rec Center is Tremblay Point Road, Main Street. The main topic of discussion is the flood control project that's been ongoing. It involves all of the rain gardens that some of you may have seen if you've been in the area where the PAL fields are, and also by the rec center. And this is tied in primarily with the Blue Acres program. That's where most of the funds are coming from. Not from Blue Acres, but it's the Blue Acres properties. There was a grant that was secured by Rutgers University. They're working hand in glove with the Phillips 66 people to enhance the neighborhood and try to hold back some of the rainwater that's been infiltrating the neighborhood. We do get some flooding when we get heavy rains there, and if you were ever in that area, you could see Beano Pond overflowing. You could see water running off from the PAL fields. You can see the bank run fill, the stream of the muddy water cutting across the parking lot, and they're trying to hold back and try to recharge the aquifer there. and this is something that's done in an environmental sense. The rain gardens are being installed by a company called Enviroscapes. They're going to have a representative at this meeting. There's going to be representatives from the National Fish and Wildlife Federation, people from Rutgers, and our own engineer, Joe Kroback, will also be there. Phillips 66 Community Representative Nancy Sadline will be there. They'll be explaining what their plans are for the properties that haven't been touched yet, which are where all the houses that were flooded during the Sandy storm were taken down. It's pretty amazing undertaking, and they're putting a lot of money into our community. And also our DPW will be represented there as well. Moving on, the quiet zone, the railroad crossing at Lower Road, we've hit a minor glitch with that establishment there. The delay is minor. It's just a paper pushing amendment. We should be waiting maybe another 2 weeks for that to finally be established, and the trains will no longer be, sounding their whistles. Again, the original date was last night. Of course, at 3 o'clock in the morning, at 6 o'clock in the morning, the trains are sounding their horns, and it was kind of embarrassing because, I did mention that the 17th was the drop-dead date on that. Hopefully, I won't be sounding like a broken record forever. The Treasurer's Office has informed me, as well as our engineering office as well, that there is a local freight impact grant that the City of Linden received in the amount of approximately $1.6 million. This money is going to be used for the resurfacing of the Southwood Avenue from Route 1 to the Turnpike, and also from West 20th Street all the way to Route 1. Also included in that is going to be intersection improvements, because we do have a couple of traffic lights in that stretch going from Route 1 to the Turnpike on Southwood Avenue. I ran out of paper, so that's all I have for my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Podek, let's start giving everybody smaller papers. Councilwoman Makaitis?
Thank you, Council President. From the Mayor's Youth Commission, their general membership meeting will be held on October 10th at 6 p.m. in the Planning Board Room at City Hall. All are welcome. Our next project we'll be working on is the Breakfast with Santa, so all are welcome to come join us. I was also asked to mention that the Masterpiece Youth Development Program invites you to a black tie and fundraising gala, which is an award ceremony reception. It's going to be held at 438th at the Westwood in Garwood on Sunday, November 18th. The tickets are $75 for adults, $40 for youth from 5th through 12th grade. And anyone that's interested in purchasing tickets can go to their website, which is www.expectamiracleministries.org/#give to purchase tickets and for more information. For the 8th Ward report, as I mentioned last month, we were having some issues with schools being open, with some of the busing in the area. We had a few glitches with the opening of schools. We received complaints about double parked cars parked on the wrong side of the street in wrong directions. So parking enforcement was out there for a week, so I think we got that set. We're just asking, please be mindful. We know you're there to pick up your children. We want all the children to go home safe, so please just continue to do the best practices of parking at the curb. Street paving in the 8th Ward, they will be going out to bid hopefully next month for Pennsylvania Avenue and Urbanowitz Avenue, so we'll have more information on that next month. The 8th Ward will also be having a community yard sale on October 13th with a rain date of October 14th. I will be compiling a list of participating homes to be shared on a social media, and I will also have a list available that patrons can pick up at their participating households. Any 8th Ward resident that would like to participate, please contact me at 908-925-2309. I just want to also take this opportunity to thank everyone that came out again to the 9/11 Candlelight Vigil, all the mayor and the council people, the police and fire department, the Central Jersey Drum and Pipe Band, and everyone that helped make it a success. This year, we had Girl Scouts participating in it, and it's important that our youth be involved in things like this. Many of those girls were not even alive on September 11, 2001, so it's important that we don't become complacent and we educate our youth. So thank you, everyone, again, who came out to participate. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Medina?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I have a couple things here, one from the Construction Code Department. The Construction Code Department has issued 219 permits and processed 23 certificates. We have generated $193,723 in fees for the month of July. I also have a street light I would like to make a motion for. So I'll make a motion for the approval of the installation of a street light on pole number 65143, located at the end of Linden Court, and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes,
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes.
thank you. Do have a library report. Bear me a second, it's always in the form of a text message. Thursday, October 11th, Trivia Night fundraiser, 7 p.m., $10 per person, light refreshment, prizes to the winning team. Every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m., Terrific Toddlers. Second Wednesday of every month at 4 p.m., Lego Club. Thursday, September 20th, 4 p.m., Harry Potter trivia game. September 26th, 6:30 p.m., Children's Chess Club. Also, movies at the library every Monday and Friday. Pick-up movie list schedule and children program schedule at the circulation desk. These are only a small sampling of the events happening at the Linden Library. Library is open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 9, Friday, 9:30 to 5, and every Saturday, 9 to 5. Again, I encourage everyone to visit our library and participate in some of these programs. For the 9th Ward, I have a couple notes here. Just a refresher from last month, the police will start enforcement in the next couple of weeks in the 9th Ward to help curb some of the safety issues throughout the communities. I ask folks, please be safe on our roads and be cautious around our schools and parks, very important. Sidewalks and curbs will be starting in the next couple of weeks as well. If you have a raised sidewalk due to a city tree, please contact me. I will definitely add it to the list and try to take care of it as soon as possible. Also, a reminder, we put out a blast on our Sunnyside Facebook page and our Nextdoor Sunnyside app. September 22nd and 23rd is the 9th and 10th Ward Community Yard Sale. Please email myself or Councilwoman Hickey with your address if you are interested in participating. We create a virtual map, and we also print out that map that we hand out to all the households, so that way when folks are shopping around, they also receive a document with all the addresses that are participating. So it's very successful. We do it at least twice a year, and it goes off without a hitch. It's awesome. Also, Councilwoman Hickey and we're going to be putting a date for a community meeting in early October, so please keep an eye out, again, on our Sunnyside Facebook page or the Nextdoor Sunnyside app. I encourage folks to check out those two channels that we have available. And anyone ever want to get a hold of me, my cell phone is 908-986-6100, or you can email me at amedina@linden-nj.org. That completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hickey?
Good evening, everyone. First, I'll start off with a report from the City Clerk's office. They had a total number of 293 total transactions with a city revenue of $3,926.60 and a state revenue of $800. From the Fire Committee, let's see, the ambulance reimbursement systems for the Linden Fire Department ambulance billing, the amount of $54,283.35 was received and has been deposited for August of 2018, totaling for the year $555,570.06. I also want to add that that has been quite a substantial jump since last year, and I just want to commend all the firemen for their hard work. Also, our fire department will be holding their annual fire prevention night. It's going to be on Friday, October 5th from 5 to 8 p.m. Wood Avenue will be closed down in front of City Hall. They will be having their raffles and fire engines, the ladder trucks, the smoke trucks, lots of giveaways. The police department will be there, Linden OEM. It's a fun thing on a Friday night when it just starts getting cooler out. The children are able to ask any questions they have and climb on all the trucks, and hopefully we don't have any fires like previous years where everybody had to leave. But they do a really great event, and I still remember from when I was a little girl that I attended. As far as my report goes, I just wanted to touch on the solicitors again, because I received a few emails. The actual solicitors that are going around about these solar panels right now, they're actually saying that the city of Linden is sending them out to give them the best rate. And people, you know, there are many residents that, you know, do believe them. So please speak to your neighbors. Tell them that the city will not be sending anyone out from City Hall to tell them about to discuss their electric. And like they said, if you don't have a badge on, you can always just call the police. The police will respond and make sure things are taken care of. It's starting to get a little out of hands, and I think people are very leery with issues going on, so please call if you see something. That's why our police department's there, and they as well have been wonderful. Shortly, I know it was already approved and the bid went out. We will be getting our streets paved in the 10th Ward. We're looking at Amherst Road, Edgewood Road, Forest Drive, Princeton Road, and Verona. I wish we could pave more roads. I know many of them are very, very bad. We can only do what we're budgeted for. We're fortunate enough this year for all of us to get an extra, we budgeted an extra $50,000 for each ward. And, you know, we really try hard to make a best of it working with the city engineer. Councilman Medina mentioned about the garage sale this weekend. Please text me. I'm going to give my cell phone number because it's easy for me to do it that way too. 908-347-4548. The deadline will probably be Thursday morning that you are actually on our map and our list. You could still participate, but if we don't hear from you probably by Thursday, you won't be on the list that we'll be handing out to residents. Councilman Medina and we try to get out early that morning and hand them out to the houses that are having garage sales. I know there's many trees and trimmings and many, many people are waiting. The list, and even beginning when I started on councilwoman, I know there was many trees on the list. People were waiting 8 years and 5 years. Please, if your tree hasn't been addressed yet, please just text me or email me so I can just confirm that you're on the list. We received a list a few weeks ago from DPW, and you know, were a lot of them. So I just want to compare and make sure I have everybody down. It doesn't mean that they're going to be there next week because the list is lengthy, but I do know they're trying their best to take care of everything as quickly as they can. On Friday night, there will be the Battle of the Badges at Linden PAL. It's Linden Police Department versus the Union County Sheriff's Department. It is $5 to get in. It starts at 7 p.m. It is rain or shine. It's in memory of Daniel Kaczynski. It's the 10th annual. They will be selling wristbands for $1, keychains for $2, and refreshments as needed. And lastly, I would just like to mention, we have many talented children in the city of Linden. I think I kind of have a special one in the one of many in the 10th Ward. I know there's other children that are singing and moving on with plays and different areas of acting and performing arts. But a friend whose son has been going to school with my son since he was little, Ryan Sautner, is going to be in the Icon 2018 Challenge. And the performance is on September 27th at the Union County Performing Arts Center in Rahway. It's $15 for adults. It starts at 8 p.m., but he has the opportunity to win $5,000, and I believe you have to be there to vote I think it's really important, if we're not doing anything that night, to try and get out there and support him. And I know he's been working hard and in so many plays and different events around the city. And he's really, really a great kid. So with that being said, I would just like to wish everybody a really good night, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mayor?
Yes, good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to report on the train station. During the last month or so, we've been working very closely with New Jersey Transit, and you may have noticed that some of the repairs that have occurred there. My office has been in constant communication with NJ Transit, and hopefully they will continue to be responsive as they have been in the last month. With that being said, beginning on or about Tuesday, September 25th, and continuing through October until completion, the ramp on the eastbound platform at the Linden train station will be temporarily closed due to rehabilitation work. During this time, customers are requiring accessibility services to the eastbound platform may wish to go to the Rawway or Elizabeth stations for this service. We will hopefully within the next couple of days have more concrete information as to the exact dates that this will occur. We will definitely post the information. Also, as mentioned earlier this evening, Councilman Javik in the 2nd Ward mentioned that the city will now be designating locations for firewood. Some years back, the Asian longhorn beetle had struck this town pretty hard, and a requirement from the state and federal government was that we grind all our trees down and actually send it over to the Union County Utilities Authority. We're no longer under that threat, and the cost of getting rid of the wood was astronomical, and we feel that by giving away the wood for firewood will be a significant savings for the city. So again, we're trying to do everything we possibly can to save. Next thing I'd like to report on, later on our agenda, you will see where we are doing a resolution to transfer the redevelopment agreement to Accurate Construction. This is regarding the John T. Gregorio scaffolding, the JTC scaffolding building on West Elizabeth Avenue. We had one developer. He kind of led us along for about 3 years, and the project never came to fruition. We consider this particular piece of property one of our best assets in town for development. So we will be transferring that redevelopment agreement to another company, and we will be monitoring them very closely, and hopefully they will have a shovel in the ground within the next 6 months, or we'll be looking for council to definitely do their due diligence to make sure that this project moves along. Last month, there was some discussion with regards to the Board of Elections, the Board of Education having the elections moved out of the school system. We had several discussions with the school superintendent and members of the board, and I thought that we had convinced them that this was not a good thing to do. But nevertheless, they did send a letter over to the Board of Elections and requesting that the elections be moved from the school system. And I'm very happy to announce that the Board of Elections agreed with me, and we will continue to have our elections in the schools as these are statutory laws that say you have to have elections in public places, and I tried to express that and explain that to the Board of Elections, to the Board of Education. Somehow it just wasn't sinking in. Their argument was security concerns, but I just want to let the Board of Education know that I have children in the school system as well, and I am very concerned with security in the school system, and I'll make sure that we do what is ever humanly possible to continue to provide a safe environment for our children, especially on Election Day. One of the recommendations that we gave to the Board of Education was that they use an in-service day during the primary, and this way you wouldn't have any children in the school at all. So that being said, maybe they'll do that. But in any event, the elections will continue to be held in our schools. And last, but certainly not least, I just want to tell everybody to keep Chet LeBrow's family in their prayers. Chet LeBrow was the owner of Severn Furs. He passed away yesterday morning. At one time, Chet LeBrow, in fact, it's still, his business is one of the largest furriers on the East Coast. Chet was very active in our community. He was a member of our SID, and he's also was a member of the Union County College Board of Trustees. He was a very active member in our community, and he was very generous to various organizations in our town, so he will be missed. So again, I'd like you to keep his family in your prayers, especially his wife, who is currently under the weather as well. So that concludes my reports, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we're going with resolutions. Resolution 2018-342 through 2018-375. Public comments will be permitted for the specific resolutions to be removed from the consent approval. Please read the synopsis of the resolutions which have been prepared by the City Clerk's office. Each is informative and self-explanatory. However, if you wish to address a specific resolution, the council will entertain questions on it. Does anybody wish to remove a resolution? Ms. Malik? 342, 343, 345, 351, 359, 369. Anybody else? Mr. Principato. 343, 345, 351, 359. That's it? Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Yes, 348, 368, they're related questions, so it's answer, anything. This is one, 362 and 373.
348, 368, 362, and 373? Yes. Anybody else? Okay, I need a motion for resolutions from 342 to 375 with the exceptions of 342, 343, 345, 351, 359, 369, 348, 368, 362, and 373. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to approve all of the resolutions with the exception of 2018-342, 43, 45, 51, 59, 69, 48, 68, 67, and 73, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Ms. Malik, can you please come up, and Mr. Principato, can you also come up since you guys have a few in common? Ms. Malik, 342.
What exactly will this deer culling or deer control program constitute in the city of Linden?
Mr. Bodek?
Yes, it will be taking place at the Hawkrise Wildlife Area. Right now, we have a deer herd that is out of control. The county runs a deer control program, and in conjunction with the Audubon Society, efforts need to be made to remove the excess deer. I believe and I'm trying to remember the numbers, but I believe the recommendation is 5 deer per acre, and we have like 20 of them. So they're destroying the forest area down there and a lot of other natural resources, so the herd needs to be reduced.
So it's not just going to be trying to capture, they may bring hunters in and to try to cull the herd?
As
Okay.
we've done for the last 6 or 7 years.
We've done that actually in Linden?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, stay up here, 343.
Oh, how is this money going to be used for the Kids Recreation Trust Fund? You know, to what purpose?
Mr. Sack?
Yes, the City of Linden's been fortunate the last several years that the County of Union's been allowing the city to get this grant. This is specifically, this grant is going to be upgrading for rubber coating flooring for Dr. King Park and Veterans Memorial Park, upgrading the present surfacing that they have there. And it's a matching grant. So the $160,000, if we applied for $160,000, if the county does give that to us, then we would match that with $160,000. And this is very expensive materials for the parks.
And so we've had this for several years. And
Yes,
is there
we've been
some sort of
fortunate to get this grant for at least the last 7 years, if not longer. The County of Union has been very, very generous to the city.
So is there some sort of a committee that comes together to say where these funds are going to be used?
I believe Director Dan from the Public Properties, he met with his supervisors and they analyzed the various parks, and that's where they submitted this request. Nancy Braxton completed the application, and we submitted it to the county. So we're just awaiting the county to review it.
Fine, thank you.
Mr. Principal, does that answer your question also?
I didn't have any questions. I just wanted to tell you that the amount was wrong.
What's the amount?
On here it says
160,000.
16,000 underneath the 160,000.
Well, there's a zero missing, but the comma's in the right place.
Right.
Okay. Just in case, we'll get an average on that. Thank you, sir. Ms. Malik, 345.
What exactly is this, the resolution or a cash management plan? Can our treasurer maybe go more into elucidate what this is all about?
Sure. Actually, we adopt this resolution annually at our reorganization meeting. However, we were fortunate enough to find some local banks that have jumbo rate CDs that we needed to add to and amend the resolution that we adopted in January to allow for us to add them as depositories. So we added several depositories, Columbia Bank, Union County Savings Bank, that are offering very good investment rates for our CDs. So we needed to add them as depositories. So basically with this cash management plan, it lays out who and what we can invest in. And we also needed to update some personnel items on here that had changed from the meeting in January. So those were the changes on this resolution.
And I don't know if you're privy to say this, but what type of monies are we talking about that flows through this cash management plan?
Well, it would vary depending on our cash flow. We tried to do investments. We just did a $500,000 investment. We were able to get 2.75 depending on the various rates. We go and we call 15 banks, and whoever gives us the best rate, we try to do like 6 months intervals depending on our cash flow requirements. And it's usually CDs.
Good. All right, thank you.
Mr. Principal, that answers your question? No numbers in there to check or correct us? Thank you. 351, ma'am.
This was a little confusing. It may just be how it was written, but here it says, resolution authorizing the transfer of certain redevelopment and financial agreements from the city and SAMD, so on and so forth, to the Linden Station Urban Renewal LLC. But it says former JTC scaffolding site. So
This is what the mayor just mentioned 5 minutes ago.
maybe I missed that point.
Mayor, can you repeat the part about the JTG, please?
Yes, we're just transferring the redevelopment agreement to another company. That's the JTG scaffolding site.
All right, but you're saying from one company to another, but you're saying that's the point of contention, is you're calling it a site. It's one company to another company.
One developer to another developer. It's a location. It's the JTG scaffolding site. It's a location on West Elizabeth Avenue. It's probably, would be regarded as probably one of our most desirable redevelopment areas in town. And the developer we previously had was unable to develop it, so now we're transferring the rights of development to another developer.
Right, so we really didn't even need to put in the scaffolding site. It's from one company to another company.
Well, you want to identify, we identify it as a scaffolding site.
Right.
I mean, you would like,
Gotcha.
like to call it something else, you can.
Gotcha, thank you.
Mr. Principado, that answers your question? No. Okay, can you please come up?
John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. This doesn't have to, we don't have to put this back out.
Not our
for bid, or, in other words, what I'm trying to get at is that maybe there are other more qualified redevelopment companies to take this project over? That's my first question.
Mr. Antonelli?
Thank you, Council President. This project, sir, is privately owned. There was a contract between what I'll call the outgoing developer, now with the new developer. So this is one of the requirements for that contract, but the city does not own this property and is not involved in actually determining who the contract buyer is.
All right, another question. Is this property going to be covered under a pilot program?
Ms. Antonelli?
Yes. If you ask me details, I don't have them in front of me because it was approved by council probably, I'm not good with time, but probably at least 2 years ago, somewhere thereabouts.
Does anyone here, can anyone elaborate on it? Maybe give me an idea of what that pilot program entails. Is it going to be reduced taxes for a certain period of time?
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman.
I asked the same questions pretty much last night because my concern was we're transferring the financial agreement that was made many years ago, which I had concern for, due to the fact that, like the mayor mentioned, this is an it's prime property, and with the renovations that have been going on with the train station and our downtown area, I think it should be reconsidered, and the financial agreement should not be transferred over from many years ago. So I did question it. You know, my vote's my vote, and what others think is what, you know. So that's my answer to that. It has to do with a financial agreement, though.
Well, my concern is 2 years ago, real estate values in Linden were lower. Were lower than they are right now. That's my concern. That's number one. Okay? So does the council have the power to negate this project and start from square one? Because there hasn't been a shovel in the ground. Nothing has been done. I'm sure there's architects' plans and drawings that have already been submitted. That doesn't need to change. But there may be other aspects of this redevelopment plan that need to be revisited, being that it's 2 years down the road.
Ms. Antonelli, hold on a minute, 1 minute. Ms. Antonelli, tell me if I'm correct. We had a contract with the first company, and then the first company just sold it to the second company. So we have to keep that contract.
Yeah, so in other words, this financial agreement was previously agreed to with what I'll call the outgoing developer. And as a result of that, because it is a contract between two private parties, I'm assuming the buyer is relying upon certain financial agreements that are in place already. I could tell you this, sir, you had asked, could council reject this or not approve it? Absolutely. It would certainly be against my advice. We have professionals that review the financial documents, do the due diligence for us. I don't, members of council don't, who advise us on whether or not the project is in the city's best interest. And I've just been handed a document which shows that in years 1 to 10, the revenue generated and paid to the city will be 11% of the average gross rents, the annual gross rents. The total projected anticipated revenue for the city is about $16 million. And I know you have several questions about these agreements, and obviously you're entitled to ask those questions. But I could tell you that with these pilot programs, it's a tool in the city's arsenal, if you will, to try and get the best revenue generation from a project. In these types of projects, the payments that are made to the city enjoys approximately 95% of the revenue that comes in. Whereas if it were a regular assessment, where it's broken up into 3 categories, which is city taxes, Board of Ed taxes, and county taxes. I don't know the percentage offhand, maybe the CFO could correct me, but I believe the city would then only realize about 30% or so of the revenue. So in this particular instance, it's a tool that allows the city to bring in more revenue, if you will, as opposed to a regular assessment.
Good afternoon, John. Almost every redevelopment project, you have a problem with us, and I'm just going to say this the best way I can.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
All right, almost every redevelopment project that we go forward with, you have a problem with without.
That's
hold
not
on,
true.
You got to speak without even seeing the
Councilman Brown,
numbers.
just
No,
answer the
all
question
all
he
right.
asked, please. Don't
Let me
point any
finish,
other
please.
facts.
Everybody else got to talk. So, like the attorney says in every meeting, before anything comes out, we have our professionals that come up and look at the numbers. So the real estate values as far as in Linden, I would like to see the data. The data that I have here in front of me right now, and what I explained in the back end yesterday, is that you have interest rates that are going up for the last couple of months, which affects property values and it affects the financing that these companies get. And the reason why we do pilot programs, and the 11% is actually higher than some of the other pilot programs that we have approved prior on the council, is that they can get the financing to build those units, which brings in revenue to the city. This in turn helps create the stability that we've been seeing in the city for the last couple of years that has been reinforced by professionals from Moody, from S&P, and from other financial firms, is that we're heading in the right direction. Our audit reports that we get every year have come back clean, is that we're doing the right thing. Now, when you talk about as far as property taxes being reduced, our tax rate was reduced this year, and while it may not seem like a lot to some, and I know you've made comments in the past about it, we are heading in the right direction. Not one project is going to lower property taxes as a whole, but it's a matter of separate projects that the mayor has brought to the table that collectively is stabilizing taxes, which again, John, it's not a matter of my opinion, it's not a matter of your opinion, but people outside of Linden who are in the financial industry are saying, Linden, you are doing the right thing. Now, if you want, the financial reports are on the city website, or I think, Alexis, you have a copy in your office, and Joe, you have a copy, correct? And the last time we had ratings was done, what, was it this year or this year? Our bond rating. And our bond rating takes into consideration the decisions that we make, our management of our finances, which is labeled in there, as well as the pilot programs and the revenues and things of this nature. And can you, at least a little bit during my comment, speak about what they've said?
Various rating agencies that we've had, Moody's and Standard & Poor's, have shown that Linden has a stable outlook, and we have a AA3 bond rating. So we have had, numerous through the years ratings, and we are on a stable outlook, and it's because of the proactive financial management that we have been trying to accomplish over the last several years.
Appreciate the questions, but every month and I'm not trying to discourage you from coming up, but we have professionals that you coming up here with these hypotheticals, and I'm sorry, but we go through the numbers. Alexis does, the financial professionals, our bond counsel does. We have a team that looks at this with the mayor to see if this is the right thing to do with the city. Right now, we have a land that we're not getting the best value tax revenue out of there. So I'm supporting this project, and that's my end of comment.
Councilman Roman.
Thank you, Council President. In regards to this resolution, I was not on council when this was passed originally. So I just want a refresher. Anyone can answer me. This is residential, obviously. How many units is it?
Danny, do you remember how many units? 232, is it?
I'm going to say a little bit above 200. I'm not sure the exact number. It's a mixed-use project.
Yeah, I think 232, the number, but I'm not sure.
So 232 units. And Danny, you said that there was the city enjoys 95% of the tax revenue, and 5% goes to the county by state mandate?
Statutorily, 5% goes to the county.
Okay. Just speaking from my own experience here, Meridia who's in the 6th Ward, and they have a building open. They're building another. They have about 170 units. There's about 25 kids in the building by my personal count. 25, if they all go to school in Linden, it's 21,000 educated child. Let's just call it 20 times 25. That sounds like probably about $500,000 that the Board of Education has to spend extra to educate these kids. Maybe we should pass a resolution if we're going to do all these residential pilots to give some of the money to the Board of Education. So at the end of the day, they're not stuck with a big bill while we enjoy all the tax revenue from this. Thank you.
Councilman?
John, yeah, 4 million is more than 400,000. And if anyone knows, what happened within the last couple of months is that the New Jersey governor, as long as with a team of other people, did the formula of school funding, and Linden received more school funding. This is based off of demographics, free lunch, and other things that are service. No one here from the Board of Education has, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, has anyone from the Board of Education, including the superintendent, contacted you in regards to the pilot programs and if it's affecting them?
Mayor?
Mayor? Has anyone from the Board of Education called you in regards to the pilot programs? And John, a couple of years ago, actually—
No, they haven't, and I don't know if that number that Mr. Roman has cited, that 25 kids coming out of that building, is accurate or not.
Mr. Mayor, you're
And
more
so,
than
no,
welcome to walk
I'm sorry, John.
those halls of Meridia with me, and I will show you.
John, I'm still—
All right, we're getting off the topic here. We're talking about a complete different
We're
development.
talking about this. I'm not done.
You are done. You are done.
George.
No, you are done. We're getting off the topic here.
I'm talking
Okay.
about school
What's
funding.
your question answer, sir?
I'm talking about the pilot program, George. So
No, you're not talking about the pilot program. You jump into the Board of Ed.
All right, which deals with what we're talking about as far as—
But you already spoke about the pilot program.
All right.
You're done.
I'm not
You're
done.
done.
George, with all due respect, have some decorum and let me finish, please.
No, you're done.
Because I
Peter,
want to
you
speak
already
about—
spoke. Are you done, sir?
Well, my issues with this project are that it's been 2 years in the making, correct? A lot has changed in 2 years, okay? I don't care what Standards and Poor's says. Our bond rating, that to me is that's not what the citizens of Linden care about.
They do,
They
because
care
it
about the
affects their
bottom
taxes.
line. The bottom line is the amount of traffic. That's a big thing.
John, your
So
bond
they're
rating
not
is
going to
affected
pay.
by your
Councilman.
taxes.
Excuse me. Can I talk? You spoke.
I got cut off.
You spoke. Can I
This is
speak?
what you said, so we can go back and forth all day.
So,
No, you're not going to go back and forth all day. Let him finish. You're done.
And then you gonna let me finish?
No, you're done already. You told him already what you have to tell him. You're done.
But you allow him to go back and forth. You're inconsistent, George.
so my concerns are, number one, obviously,
You don't
the
want the
tax
commission
burden
out.
on us. Number two, the traffic is horrendous, okay? Are these redevelopment corporations putting money aside to change traffic routes or assist in minimizing the amount of traffic in that area? Right now, that area is gridlock. After 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it's a gridlocked area. How are we going to deal with that? And I understand it needs to be developed, I get it. But we need to get more from these redevelopment companies. Also, when these plans are put together, you're telling me there's professionals that do this, and I get it. They're probably a lot smarter than me, these professionals that do these particular projects, okay? But now, why don't we put in our contract that it's non-transferable, or there's a fee for transferring it, something. We're just handing these projects, we're letting these projects bounce around from contractor to contractor, and we really don't know who we're dealing with.
Mr. Principato, Councilman Brown is right. Okay, we are getting the best money for our buck. Okay, he's right. And if you want to, I'll get you the papers that you need.
I appreciate that.
And you'll be able to see the numbers and compare whatever you need to do. Okay?
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Mrs. Spinoza, please. This is about 351?
How are we doing, everybody? I'm Alex Laspinoso, LEDC Director. First, I just want to say, I don't know any developer that's going to be able to get the financing for this project without a pilot program. That's the bottom line. Second, we've already discussed this with Councilman Javik about the traffic light that we're going to try to put together on that corner. What road is that, Councilman Javik? On Elizabeth and what's the other road? And Lumber Street, yes. And second, the existing owner of the property has a very serious tax liability. They've been paying it for about 3 years now. They are desperate to get a developer there immediately. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Mag, 359, please.
There are a number of resolutions talking about amending the contract, so I'm just picking the largest one here, and this is with Shokloff and Wolf. You know, what is this contract pertaining to?
Mrs. Sack? Oh, okay, Ms. Antonelli.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution and the others that follow all concern our tax appeals. So in the beginning of the year, when we set the contract, it's for a temporary budget. This actually is for the full contract, if you will, but that's an up to amount. So in other words, that amount hasn't been billed yet, but obviously people who own property, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, have the right to file a tax appeal. We then are charged with defending those tax appeals, and as a part of that process, we also have to hire an appraiser to assist us with regard to the valuations and to defend these tax appeals.
So there are appraisers?
Yeah, and these are standard resolutions. They've been on as long as I can remember. I've only been here for almost 4 years, but the Wolf firm has been tax appeal counsel for probably 25 years now.
Fine.
Mr. Principato, same question, 359? Okay. Ms. Malik, since you're up, 369?
Oh, the Class 3 law enforcement officers that we're going to have, what are they going to be doing?
Ms. Antonelli, can you tell them about the police officers for schools?
Thank you, Ms. Malik. In regards to certain events that have been taking place around the country with regard to shootings at schools, the mayor and council had sought fit to enter into a shared services agreement with the Board of Ed that would allow essentially retired police officers to be stationed at the various schools. Legislation was just recently passed that allowed this type of Class 3 officer to be utilized. There's obviously strict requirements with regard to officers on the job as well as retired officers, but in this particular instance it allows retired officers to provide security, if you will, carry a gun, wear a uniform, and do all the good things to obviously protect the children and the guests and the teachers at the school. This agreement, the city is contributing approximately $50,000. The Board of Ed is responsible for the different. We're still working out some of the details of the agreement, but if it's approved tonight, we'll be proceeding to finalize that document.
So you said various schools, so you're not going to distinguish between which school would be getting these officers? It would be all the schools, like all or none, and it would be during their school hours, like 8 to 3 or whatever the hours are?
Essentially, so this is the start of the program, because obviously it could get very costly. The school board is the ones that will determine where the officers will be placed. Initially, it's envisioned that 4 officers will be hired, and then subsequently, I think the goal or the plan is to add more officers. So it won't be in every school to start.
Okay, thank you.
And just for your edification, we would hope to use those additional police officers. They could assist us on election day to guarantee that any safety issues that we're concerned with, we could address. Would probably take, we've been noticing that the county has been deploying a number of police officers at school number 5. We're going to ask that they, instead of sending 3 and 4 police officers, police cars down to school 5, that they would deploy those officers to other schools, and that would also help with with the safety on Election Day.
Councilman Roman?
I just want to give Ms. Malik and the general public an update on this. There's a bill floating around the state legislature, it's A3360, I forgot the Senate version, that is going to slightly lax the requirements on Class 3 officers. Not that they will still have to qualify with their weapon, they'll still have to been retired in a certain period of time. It's just slightly moving that, how long they've been retired, because the pool is very small, which I think will help us because we will have a slightly bigger pool to pick from when we're trying to get Linden guys and people that are from our community to go into these schools, because it will go a long way for retired officers who had a long time on the job, will know most of the people in the school, know the neighborhood back in like the back of their hand, to have Linden guys in there, and that's what I really want to see. So I'm happy that legislature is considering that. Thank you.
Mr. Hollander, 348 and 368, you said...
Yeah, these are related. It refers to qualifying certain professionals pursuant to fair and open process in accordance with some state law. Are we just checking on professionals' qualifications or what?
Ms. Antonelli?
That is correct, sir. So the city utilizes what's called a request for qualification process for various disciplines. These two resolutions does exactly that. We sought additional qualifications for council, for engineers, but no contract for any of the entities that are qualified is being awarded this evening.
Okay.
And 362?
Okay, 362. I remember several months ago, the city purchased, I believe it was 5 SUVs for the police department. That cost $55,000 a piece, but now, for some reason, we can now get them at $27,000, which is a little bit less than half. Why didn't we buy them at that price before?
This money, sir, is coming out of a capital account. This is not as fully loaded. This is going to be an unmarked vehicle used for the patrol division, so it doesn't need a lot of the bells and whistles that a fully loaded police car would. It's amazing how much extra costs. You have the vehicle costs, and you have all the extras that would go into a police vehicle, including computer, et cetera, which brings those costs up higher. So this is going to have the bare minimum. It's going to be used for undercover operations, and that's why the cost is much lower.
Okay.
And 373, sir.
373. It says we're purchasing required infrastructure for the police department subject to availability of funds over a 5-year period. What happens if we don't have funds to buy these and yet it's required? It's contradictory, isn't it?
Chief Hart?
At least as to the issue with regard to the funding, that's what we're required to do, sir. So in other words, obviously this is a 5-year contract. We're not making those payments today for the entire 5 years. There are payments over time. So when you set up the resolution, you're required to essentially indicate that it's subject to availability of funds. That's what we're required to do.
Okay, thank you.
I would like a motion to pass the following: 342, 343, 345, 351, 359, 369, 348, 368, 362, and 373.
Council President, I'd like a motion to pass 2018-342, 43, 45, 51, 59, 69, 48, 68, 62, and 73, and ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes to all, with the exception of number 351.
I'm sorry, which one?
351.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. At this time, we're going for first reading on ordinances. The ordinances will be 6271 through 6275. The deputy clerk will read the ordinance. If there's anyone wishing to make a comment, no questions. After the public comments on each of the proposed ordinances, I will let you know. Mrs. Honan, can you please read 6271?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 31 zoning of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance adopting and enacting the revised general ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. This is banning the operation of retail marijuana stores or retail sales of marijuana and allowing medical marijuana growth and distribution.
Does anybody have any comments? No questions, just comments. Please come up.
John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. I think that we're jumping the gun here. We can put restrictions on retail stores, you know, when it's time or down the road. But I think that banning anything like this, which is going to be legal shortly, possibly, may be detrimental to the city of Linden. I'm not telling you that I agree with it 100%. Maybe something has to be tweaked, but to ban something just seems like putting the cart before the horse.
Anybody else? Any other comments? Yeah. First, come on.
Evening, guys. I'm Hans Herberg. I live at 1501 Westover Road. You know, I'm a little concerned with the marijuana. I know we had a discussion a month ago. I mean, if you look at Denver or like talk to insurance companies, they said there's a lot of accidents that happened. I mean, my concern is with retails. I mean, it will affect property values in Linden, the community. I mean, I know we talked earlier about property taxes, but you know, what if it goes down? But I mean, I understand, you know, we got medicine and stuff, but my concern is, I mean, if you do banning for like retail and, you know, recreational use, but if there's something like medicine use, you know, like I understand people have cancer and health issues, you know, which is understandable, but, you know, we gotta take care of health first and even think of safety for our kids. I mean, come on, we all growing up, though making the right choice, but I really hope this city can make a right choice, you know, for our community and our kids on that.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, can you please, I think they're confused. Can you tell them this is just against recreational?
Yes, so for clarification, this is just for recreational. In fact, I think we're having a special meeting because somebody wants to put it in a medical. My statement is this: it's detrimental recreational for our youth. I work with over 100 students every weekend through a program here. And we actually had a discussion about this. And out of a few kids which I have recorded, they've said themselves that they are personally against legalization of recreational marijuana. And these are kids that are going to school for biology because they understand the effects that it has on the brain, especially the young brain. And they feel that if these shops are down and around, that more people are going to. These are from our youth that are telling us. So from a moral standpoint, I'm looking at it from the perspective of our youth of allowing recreational shops, not medical. There's a difference. I've been to Colorado, I'll say it again and again. You have products out there that I see on our streets with 91% THC that's going to do harm in the brains of people. This is different than the 5, 10, 20% even cap that Amsterdam has. 91% is going to do harm on the brains of our youth here. And this is something that is going to be a serious problem that more and more people that are professionals in the psychology, psychiatric field are causing awareness, are asking for awareness to be drawn to. That's my comment.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Roman?
Thank you, Council President. I actually share Councilman Brown's worries here. Stuff that's out there and coming out now is stronger than it was when, honestly, any of us grew up, because the technology is advancing so rapidly now that it's legalized in states. Going into this, Colorado, you know, has strained out, and this will help the medical marijuana program in New Jersey. Colorado has strained out ones that just help ADD. stomach problems, you know, and whatchamacallit. And the growing and advancement of this product has become much more advanced. I understand that it's not going to be legal for kids to purchase, and I do understand to speak on what Hans said, that there is going to be a delivery service with the new bill that they just released this week. But that's kind of my point here, is that they did just release a new bill, and I don't want to see it on Wood Avenue. I don't think anyone really does. I don't want to see people in the promenade doing it, or anywhere near my house or my ward, for that matter. Thinking revenue-wise, you know, what if Elizabeth bans it and Rawway bans it, right? And, you know, we could like set like a little zone, like right on the edge of town near Elizabeth and Galthas Bridge, where the store's allowed to set up out there. And then, you know, you'll have all that revenue from delivery service possibly to Staten Island, because they can't get it. So, and there's also talk, I know that's not finalized, that they might increase the percentage. I don't know, I think if Elizabeth had gotten rid of it, if Rawway didn't do it, then there would be like a nice, decent bang for our buck there. But I'm personally not going to support this, though it's the first reading, it's not the second reading, so it's not going through. I'm just not going to support it because I think that they're getting ready to vote on it in the state, and we have 6 months to decide what we do after it passes. So, I mean, you know, it is a jump gun, but the things said here are totally valid. I'd like to see a I'd like just more discussion and see how the bill comes out. So, thank you, Council President.
Councilman Brown, you have another comment?
This issue is CBS came out yesterday that 2 million U.S. teens are vaping marijuana now. That's an increase of what they've seen. Before that, the Wall Street Journal, which is posted on my page, said the FDA chief considers ban of all flavored e-cigarettes, because what they're finding is that those e-cigarettes, the vapor shops that we have on Wood Avenue, it's right down here on the right, or you go to 7-Eleven, those cigarettes is what they're doing, is that the youth and other people are taking those e-cigarettes, taking out the cartridges that have the nicotine and putting in these marijuana cartridges. So now the FDA is looking at it and saying, you know what, these companies, and it's in the report, Wall Street Journal, have been targeting our youth and saying, we're going to, you guys have a couple months, or we're going to ban all e-cigarettes by 2022 because of their marketing practice of how they're targeting youth, especially in urban cities. So, I mean, if the FDA now is coming out, I don't think that we're jumping the gun. So that's end of my.
Councilman Mohammed.
Yes, just want to appreciate the comment of Mr. Principato. Mr. Principato, I noticed he said that he thought we probably were putting the horse before the cart before the horse. I think Mr. Principato and others should observe that this opiate pandemic is not even an epidemic in this country. We all should join in not wanting to see marijuana even legalized, certainly not in the city of Linden. And maybe, Mr. Principato, rather than putting the cart before the horse, maybe we're putting the horse in the cart and rolling off the hill. And I don't think that's a good idea. I think that we should really be on the record to be against marijuana and any other drugs in light of the pandemic situation in this country with opiates. I mean, what kind of signal are we sending as parents, as law-abiding citizens? And all you have to do is visit the penitentiaries and mental health facilities, and you see the scourge of drugs. And I just have to be on the record as being condemning that. Thank you.
Councilman Roman.
I agree with most things said. I don't really, I guess it's maybe I'm a young kid. I don't really share the reefer madness. I think the making marijuana illegal in the early 20th century really led to a boom in the drug war, as well as unfairly targeting minorities in this country. And that's why 40% of those sitting in prison right now, 2.5 million or whatever, are non-violent drug offenders. The bill will hopefully rectify that. I'd like to read it, see it come out. I was thinking about the pandemic that the councilman spoke on. And last year, I know this number because it affected me, 64,000 people died. But they didn't die from marijuana, they died from heroin. That's a serious issue. 88,000 people died last year from alcohol and alcohol-related deaths, and up to I think it was 2.5 or 250,000 possible due to something related to alcohol. Those are real numbers. The number for marijuana deaths is staggeringly low. Actually, really no case of saying marijuana has killed anyone, but they have valid concerns. Again, I wish we'd wait, but let's vote.
Council President, last comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back for it. And the reason why we're having this discussion now, we actually have a committee I talked about last month that has still not met in regards to this. So I understand people saying, are we going back and forth? We have a committee that hasn't even met in regards to this. And so here's the thing. One, this whole thing about people dying from marijuana, you're right, you cannot die because it affects different parts of your brain. It affects your frontal lobe, your temporal lobe, your brainstem, things like this that don't affect your breathing. However, the dopamine and neurotransmitters that affect your brain, and this is someone who has a degree in psychology with honors, does cause impairment. And the fear out there is psychosis. And according to the DSM-5, I said this before, is that addiction is real. And that what they're finding in most cases, because this drug is becoming so strong and you don't suffer things such as hangovers and things of this nature, is people using this more and more. There's another report that just came out that now Coca-Cola is thinking about infusing cannabis in some of their drinks. So this is on the verge of becoming an epidemic that I think Linden's making the right decision, saying not now in our town right now.
Done? May I have a motion, please?
For the introduction of Ordinance 62-71, ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
No.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mrs. Deputy Clerk, can you please read 6272?
An ordinance approving the relocation of a water main and the execution of a deed of easement over Block 587, Lot 20, in favor of New Jersey American Water Company, Inc.
Does anybody want to speak on this ordinance? Any comments? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I'd like to introduce ordinance number 62-72 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Ms. Honan, can you please read 6273?
An ordinance approving the application for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with 1700 South Stiles Street, Urban Renewal LLC.
Anybody wants to speak on this? Mr. Principado, can you please come up? You can make comments, no questions. Don't fix your tie, you look good. No questions.
Why not? Oh, that's a question, I'm sorry. John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. Anything that says long-term tax exemption, as you well know, bothers the heck out of me. And it bothers, I would say, 95% of the citizens of Linden. The 5% being the people that vote for it. So basically what I want to say is, I don't approve of this. This is the property that we're giving away, we're trying to give away for $300,000 on South Style Street. It's a property that was changed, rezoned from the original commercial zone to residential. And like Councilman Roman said, there's going to be a lot of children in that apartment complex. No matter what you say or what you do, it's going to happen. I think we need to think about this very hard, and this shouldn't be up for another final reading of this ordinance. I'm sure that there are some people that do agree with me. They're just not here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? May I have a motion, please? Oh, yes, please, Mrs. Espinosa.
So I just wanted to add that there's two things that were not mentioned about this project. One of them is the developer for this project has had to deal with a lot of headaches and a lot of attorney fees dealing with the FAA. It's been an absolute nightmare to my understanding. Second, there are some utilities underground that is also going to cause some serious issues. I discussed this with our city planner and the developer, so that's kind of been left out in this whole project, so I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? May I have a, sir, Mr. Kaminsky?
Just a quick comment, because it seems like every month we go in circles and saying the same thing, and much of it doesn't sink in. At the end of the day, certainly on this side of the dais, none of us have all the details, so I try to, I'll speak for myself, try to be balanced. However, one thing that I will implore our financial professionals, whoever they are, the people that oversee them, is to go back at these projects, go back, look at some of the more recent projects, and do a decomposition to see, did we get what we were promised, okay? Because I know I've did that at my job, jobs ago, something that should be done. So at the end of the day, we could talk about what it's going to bring in, what it's not. Nobody has a crystal ball. I hope they are, quote unquote, the best deal. At the end of the day, though, we really need to think about whether it's setting up a committee or somebody in the financer or somewhere going back and making sure that at the end of the day, we are getting what we were promised. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
I have a comment.
Councilman?
Yeah. So I'm not going to answer the question, it's an indirect question, but do we not run a report of our revenue coming in and like almost quarterly, well, she left. So like almost quarterly, we have a report run as far as all the redevelopment projects, the money coming in, what we expected, projections, and we do it every year as well. So when we pass a budget every year, like something like this pilot program was a revenue that was projected in that budget that was passed, as well as there was another program either this month or next month, last month that was. So to your point, we do actually run reports on this and all projects as well. And I think, Mayor, you even have a copy of that, right? So,
done. Anybody else? May I have a motion, please?
Yes, Council President, I'd like to make a motion to introduce Ordinance 62-73 and ask for a second, please.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
No.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
No.
Hickey?
Absolutely no.
Mr. Alvarez?
No. Mrs. Hona, can you please read 62-774?
Yes.
74.
An ordinance to amend an ordinance entitled, an ordinance establishing a schedule of titles, salary ranges, and regulations for maintaining the classification and salary standardization plan of all employees of the City of Linden, passed August 15, 1995, and approved August 16, 1995.
Any comments? May I have a motion, please?
Council President, I move that 62-74 be approved, and I ask for a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Mrs. Honan, can you please read 6275?
An ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 2 Administration of an ordinance entitled, An Ordinance Adopting and Enacting the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Linden, 1999, passed November 23rd, 1999, and approved November 24th, 1999, and as amended and supplemented. Delete Section 2-13.1, Creation of Department Supervision in its entirety, and add new Section 2-13.1, Creation of Department Supervision as follows. 1 chief, 4 deputy fire chiefs, 17 fire captains, 20 fire lieutenants, and 79 firefighters.
For this introduction, I remind everybody, it's an introduction. Does anybody have a comment? No questions, comments. Mr. Tully, Mr. Chief Coleso, do you want to come up?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Mr. Mayor, Council President Alvarez, council members. My name's Larry Kless. I'm Deputy Chief Fire Official in the City of Linden. I've been doing this position for over 3 years in fire prevention. I'm here to oppose the table of ordinance change, eliminating 1 deputy chief position. We currently have 5 deputy chiefs, and as you're aware, we used to have 7, but through retirements, we went down to 5, saving the city some money. We streamlined a lot of things. Now, with this reduction, was it asked by the fire chief? Was it asked by the fire committee? With all the federal and state regulations, we struggle with just having 5 deputy chiefs to get all the mandated items completed. We have training. Remember, we have mandated inspections, investigations. Everything has to be documented on time. Everything has to be sent to the state. Each of our deputy chiefs take on many huge responsibilities like technical rescue training, firehouse maintenance, self-contained breathing apparatus, fire apparatus upkeep, maintenance, emergency medical services, EMS billing and collections. Fire Prevention Bureau, state-mandated building inspections, multifamily inspections, sale of home inspections, state-mandated annual training, Marine Division, fire investigations, tools and equipment, the purchasing of apparatus. The list goes on. For the council to change this, to me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know where it's coming from. Only you guys really understand it. The city had several studies done in the past over the last 5 years or 10 years, thousands and thousands of taxpayer dollars. Did any of them ever say eliminate deputy chief position? I never remember anybody saying eliminate deputy chief position. You know, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you guys know, about 2 years ago, the State Division of Fire Safety came in. They did a total investigation with the Fire Prevention Bureau. Thank God we have good secretaries and help, Susan Braxton and Kathy Colgan, and our chief secretary. They kept everything in line. Nothing was a mess with finances or anything like that. They looked at our Fire Prevention Bureau with inspections. We had some better things we could do. They're making us perform 700 more multifamily inspections that we weren't doing in the past. Our operations are taxed to the max. We have 5 deputy chief positions. Right now, I know for myself and all the deputies that were working and the one that we have filling in, we don't have time to sit around and chit-chat. I wish I had more time to chit-chat. If you're gonna eliminate one of these positions, there's no way I'm gonna be able to take on 20% of someone else's job that's not there. It's not happening. Now, with the state coming in, they want me to also go behind some of my fire inspectors and building inspectors to make sure they're doing a competent job. How am I gonna even do that? I have a hard time doing that now. Now you're gonna cut the staff on the top. There's no way I'm gonna keep up with that. We're gonna end up getting fined from the state. Hopefully not. You know, I'll do my best, whatever I can, but if you eliminate one of these positions, you're gonna feel it down the road. You know, something has to give. We can't eliminate one of these positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Mr. Tolley?
Rebecca Tottoli, 626 Beechwood Road. I'm going to say the same thing I said to you at the Oakwood Public Forum in your caucus earlier tonight. The area that's going to be hit the hardest in our fire department will be your outreach area. The the area that directly affects your community, with our firefighters having hands-on communication with the residents of this city. You will be taking that away from them, and it will not solve the reason you're doing this.
Thank you. Mr. Principato?
John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. As a retired fire lieutenant, I concur with Ms. Titoli and Deputy Chief Galessa. What you're going to be asking these gentlemen to do is take on 20% more of the work that they're barely getting by handling now. I've seen it. I would venture to say that we have not only an excellent fire department, but the best fire prevention bureau in the state. The amount of fires, in 25 years, I watched the fires diminish incredibly because of the outreach, because of fire prevention, because of the firefighters going out and installing smoke detectors for citizens in Linden that couldn't afford to install a smoke detector, didn't have a smoke detector. How many houses did we walk into where the batteries were dying in the smoke detector and are intermittently beeping? And we handed them batteries, changed batteries. There's a lot of things that are going to suffer. I don't know where this is coming from, as the deputy chief said. I have my opinions. I think this is going to be extremely detrimental to the citizens. We're already taxed to the max between the fire ambulance, the amount of inspections. Just before I retired, the lieutenants were handed and captains were handed more inspections of multifamily units. So this change, this numbers change. If someone's life is lost because of this number change, because the supervisor that should be supervising someone wasn't there, then that's going to be on the council members that vote to change this table of organization. Thank you.
Anybody else? May I please have a motion to introduce this ordinance?
Council President, I move for introduction of ordinance number 6275 and request a second.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Mr. Javik?
Yes.
Brown? Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Abstain.
Strano?
Yes.
Yemakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Abstain.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. At this time, we're going for comments from the members in the public attendance of the city business only. No personal political derogatory comments. I have the list here. Anybody who hasn't put their name, let me know. Okay, let's start with Mr. Hans Herberg. You have 5 minutes, sir.
Should take less than that.
Okay.
How's it going, guys? I'm Hans Herberg, 51 Westover. I'm glad to see everyone here, though. I know we had a good discussion. The only thing I'm really concerned about, Well, thankfully for social media, it's been great, you know, with Peter, Gretchen, everyone's on there. But the concern I had, though, you know, when you go to 7-Eleven or... You can hear me now, right? Good. All right, the only thing I got to point out, which I'm really concerned about, I mean, I've seen a lot of panhandling, you know, in the community. I feel, you know, as a concerned citizen, I mean, you know, I went over to Aviation Plaza, do a little shopping, and, you know, some guy asked me for it, and I told him, I'm sorry, but, you know, I can offer you food, you know, he wants, but some guy was, like, cursing at me, and I said, okay, have a nice day, though, but, you know, I don't know if been a growing issues, but, you know, trying to see if the city can do something to help that address issues. I mean, even someone pointed out, Mr. Brown, too, about some lady who was pregnant, though, and then she drove off in a late model BMW, and I'm trying to see, like, if there's being any address or concerns about that. I mean, we can't say all people are homeless. Like, we can't assume that, but, you know, want to make sure nobody's doing something that they're not supposed to do. So, I mean, I'm very concerned about that one. And also the other thing I'm concerned, too, during trash pickup days, though, we see people driving by, you know, collecting materials like metals or anything like that. I wasn't sure if they're supposed to have solicit permit or not, though. I mean, usually when they leave, you know, they leave a couple trashes on the ground. You know, we leave it neat, but when we come back, it's all trashed. I don't know if they're supposed to be solicit permit for people to pick it up, you know, but I think common sense, though, if anybody's gonna go to our yard, at least try to clean up. I mean, that's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Mr. Halloran.
Good evening, Craig Halloran, 120 Donaldson Place. Just a brief comment that I brought up at the last school board meeting in regards to primary elections. The city should look into sending a note or something to the state legislature requiring that this day be designated a school holiday statewide, and that would eliminate the issues of having people in the buildings at the schools when the children are present. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chief Colessa, you need to speak again? No, I'm good, thank you. Susan Dooley, you okay? You just want to come up and say hello? No, okay. Mr. Tolley, do you need to speak? You okay? Mr. Mack. Come on, Mr. Mack, the peoples are waiting.
Mayor, Mr. President, City Council, Member of Council, on behalf of the people, I have listened attentively tonight, and I was very impressed with some of the things I heard on the agenda, tying it into and picking back on what the people said. I didn't say it. The people said it. The people brought to my kind attention that we have a unique system, a system that will work for humanity if we abide by it. I didn't say it, the people said it. The council peoples have called committee, men and women, that work the community, if I'm talking right. If that be true, because I don't know, I know I did know some of them, but they don't exist now. I don't know where they're at now. And I just want to ask a direct question. May I? No question?
Oh, you can ask.
Because in working with the city and working with the peoples, I remember working with Michelle Yamataitis, and I give my word that anything that the peoples were talking about in the ward, they told the committee people, and we made sure, working with the committee people, we made sure that Michelle Yamataitis got that information and fed it back to us. Well, we was able to go back to, if it be 725 Curtis Street, or be 1304 Lankham Street, we was able to go. I have spoke to the representative of this ward. They have instructed me to tell you, this is what we're going to do about this. I don't know no committed. Do y'all got committed people? Any more committed people, committed men walking in the streets? I don't hear nobody saying that. You got one? Lord, let us pray.
No questions, no answers.
All right,
here.
let us
Just-
pray. That is the problem. The people told me to come tell y'all. That's the problem. They have no communication with y'all. They call you, you won't call them back. They call. They say they talk to you. They don't hear nothing else from you. But they say they're going to hear from you next week. I think they said next week or another month or so. They said, I'll see them then. I'll see them then. But they said, well, why can't we have the individual come talk with us? So I can go tell Peter Brown, on Roselle Street, the people told me to tell you. And to find why are these people putting all this trash out here on the first of the month and trash day until the end of the month? Then Peter Brown gonna tell me, well, then let me take it from there. If I go tell Muhammad, if you will, Muhammad, what? Wait, whoa. What did you just say? No, I didn't. No, my word of honor, I didn't hear you.
Mr. Mack, please just continue. Councilman Mohammed, please. Mr. Mack, continue, please.
This is what we're talking about. If we talk with each other, you understand, and stop despising each other, we can get the job done. It's just that simple. Committed men and women should be on the ground. Because when I walk through I walk through all these wards. I'm in the supermarkets, I'm in Penholds, White Diamond, all of this breakfast. This is what the people said. I didn't say it, the people said it. You need these people on the ground because obviously the people said y'all don't have a clue what's on their mind. Y'all don't have a clue what's on their mind. Why they don't have a clue? Because ain't nobody educating them. Why you want to understand what's wrong with these people? What's wrong with who? What's wrong with the person that represents the ward? That should have their people on the ground to make reports directly to the council person, and the council person can bring it to you, and you take it to the mayor. And the problem will be resolved. Then you're doing what? You're working for the people. You're not working with corporations and clubhouses. You're working on behalf of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Mr. Mack, this is the first time I didn't have to cut you off. This is the first time I didn't have to cut you off. You have 15 seconds left. Yes. Ms. Tanya.
Good evening. Thank you. Tanya Grissett, 6th Ward, 422 Southwood Avenue. I brought this up at other council meetings in the past, and I haven't gotten any further answers yet, so I'll bring it up again. Seoul Middle School, one-way streets, Elm Street and Henry Street, for the safety of the teachers and faculty driving to school, as well as the students walking to school, as well as the parents who park on the yellow curb and decide to sit there for 25, 35 minutes while their child is in the car until they open the doors to let the kids into school. I personally had to turn around in the middle of the street this morning on Elm because it was at a standstill. The bus came late, cars were sitting there, nobody's doing anything. I was told that residents didn't want it. I'm willing to walk door to door with the councilman of that ward, if he's willing to walk down the streets with me to get answers for people, because I would love to know. The people that are there at drop-off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon, who wouldn't want these one-ways? Because I was glad to hear that the announcement was made for the one-ways at certain times of the day over in McManus. The one-way that was put in at School 6 a few years ago. The one-ways that were put in around School 8 recently. Why not Seoul? I've been around some of the other buildings, and it's not half of a nightmare as it is around Seoul Middle School in the morning. It helped with parking, having the parking lot put in for the faculty. Still not enough parking. They still need to park on the streets. There's too many members in that school. I I'm not going to let it rest. So I'd like to know who here can help me, or who I need to talk to and where I need to go with it to see what can happen. Because I will volunteer to walk door to doors, parent signatures of the students, parents, guardians in the building. That's
Council
it.
President?
Oh, no. 1 minute at the end, you'll have to answer anything. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. Mr. Principato. Please give us your name and your address so we know where you live.
Just in case you forgot, John Principato, 1706 Westover Road. That change of the TO, I'm wondering, and I'm not asking a question. How do I phrase this without questioning it?
You can ask a question. You will not get an answer until after all of you guys are done.
Oh, okay. Who asked for this? Can the chief of the department give us a little insight into the reasons behind it and how he plans to move forward with that T of O, and where the deputies will be, because it's, you know, are there going to be acting deputies? Are there going to be acting captains? I just have a lot of questions. I would really appreciate it if he could clear some of those up for not only myself, but other gentlemen that are here that are wondering what's going on. As far as the parking around the schools that was brought up, is there any way that we can mark out spots around the schools? I've seen it in other cities, other towns. People are taking up 2 spots. They're not parking correctly, especially around School 9. And if we mark the spots, I think that we can get a little control over the parents that are parking erratically and running inside to get their children. And if they don't park properly, then we can ticket them, bringing more revenue in. Not that I think that's how we should be collecting our revenue, but it's just an idea. The traffic in the city of Linden is incredible. Sometimes it takes 25 minutes for me to travel from my house to Tremley Point. The roads, even though we did pave the roads that we could pave with the budget, the roads are still terrible in a lot of areas. There's just got to be something that we can do. Hopefully someone can put a better plan together and try to get some of these bad areas cleaned up. Other than that, we definitely need a supermarket on this side of town. I have to travel across town or to another town to go shopping, whether it be Roselle in a pinch, Roselle Shopping Center, Clark. We need something. I don't know if there's anything in the works. If there is, please enlighten me, because I heard that there was, and then I heard that there wasn't. And the residents that I speak to on this side of town are in desperate need of a place to shop other than Quick Check, 7-Eleven. That's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Malik.
Virginia Malik, 1633 Lenape Road. The only thing I want to address is how we have a change now in addressing our personnel report. I haven't been to the personnel report, and we couldn't ask questions. I haven't been to a caucus meeting in quite a few years, but I know when I've gone there, they've been very time-consuming, taking quite a few hours. I've never really seen an agenda. So if you would go there, you don't really know when the issue that you may want to question is going to be coming up. And then there is a session that you can go to before the council meeting today. What I take exception to is that our city attorney, Mr. Antonelli, said he has a preference that we do not allow people to question this. I'm not quite sure. I don't really know what is the remit of the city attorneys in terms of making policies and whatnot, but I find it rather unusual that for someone to say a preference, I don't consider that a ruling. I don't consider it a policy. So when he has a preference, that's maybe his choice. And I don't know if last night or this morning, some sort of vote, or this afternoon, some sort of vote was put forth to say that we are not going to allow these questions. So I'm just making some general comments. Also, I think it would be fairly reasonable to assume that if there's going to be a change in a policy, not just someone's preference, but a change in a policy, well, then give the city individuals a chance to respond to it. Make this comment at one city council meeting so people will be aware of what they can ask or what not ask. This is being televised. Now, if you're going to be raising questions, I don't think the caucus meetings, and correct me if I'm wrong, the caucus meetings are televised. People come up to me in supermarkets to say, you asked, I like this question or that question. I'm just so surprised on how many people actually watch the televised city council meetings. Now, the caucus meetings, I'll assume maybe it's 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours maybe on Monday. I don't know how long it is before the council meeting today, but that's quite a few hours that transpires. I timed it today that we got through our entire agenda and all the resolutions. I think it was 8:35, so that's maybe an hour and a half. Someone had to sit through all the questions, being able to respond, versus maybe sitting through 4 hours. So the bottom line is I take exception that I just found out today about this. I don't have time like on Monday nights or even before this meeting to attend. I have other businesses that I'm transacting. But this doesn't sit well with me. And then, so what I have to say is, since no one from the council, I don't know if it was appropriate to have chimed in to make a comment, but I had to admonish all of you that are sitting on the dais that I didn't hear any scuttlebutt, especially from you, Councilman Brown, about this situation. So that's all I have to say. And also, if someone wants to respond later, if the city attorney has the power within his position to change policies, or maybe this is not a policy, but procedures, just on the fly like this and saying it was discussed before. That's all I have to say. I am just amazed and appalled about this situation.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I need a motion to close the public section of the meeting.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes.
Javik?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes.
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. Okay, who? 3, 1. Alfred, did you put your hand up? Yes. Okay. 4, 6, 10, 8. Mayor. Danny. I like that face. I like me too. Okay. Okay, and me, I guess. All right. I want to let you all know you got 1 minute. So for those of you who are long-winded, and she's not here today, but let's keep it to 1 minute. Ms. Orman.
Okay, I got 2 points to make. We're so concerned about 25 kids in an apartment building. I've got 32 brand-new children that live in the first ward. People are buying houses with multiple bedrooms and bringing in families. It's not just the apartments, so it's kind of like almost ridiculous to worry about 20 kids in one apartment building when there's a lot. And then also, maybe we need to listen to what goes on in the meetings instead of being so focused on just redevelopment. Pathmark has been sold, and Pathmark will become, they're opening up a new supermarket. We have said that time and time and time again. So I'm going to say it for the 9th time. The store Pathmark, Mr. Principato, has been sold, and a new supermarket will be opening there. Can we get a round of applause? We said it many times, but like I said, we have to stop focusing on all the other wrong things and just listen.
You done, Councilwoman?
I'm done. That's all I wanted to say. Just listen.
Thank you. Councilman Brown?
Yeah. Danny, I'll let you talk, the question that you had, Ms. Malik. I think it was more for the council. It wasn't for the public, because it was more for us. The comments, if you look at the last council meetings, there's been certain council members that have been making certain comments on the report. From a liability standpoint, that would be unfair to taxpayers, is the threat of lawsuits taking our comments on the dais during the personnel report. It wasn't meant for the public. So I just want to clarify that. It was meant, it was, as far as commenting on the report, it was meant more for the council, not for the public. You guys can say, question, whatever you want. It was more for the public. John, you got your, you interrupted my minute. Do I get it? Can we go back and forth there?
Mr. Principato, please. Please don't interrupt.
And he's out of order. Our rules actually do not allow people from the public in their benches there to comment, only at the microphone.
I remember last time
You're out of
got
order.
escorted out. John.
Councilman Brown, don't.
So, with that being said, that's one. The other issue as far as the parking situation, again, I've talked to the principals over there. I've sat with them face-to-face, talked to them. You need a traffic study done. The residents there, one, don't want it. Number two, I've worked at that middle school. I've talked to the principals. We put four-way stop signs there. And at the same time, traffic studies need to be done. That's not something that any council person here, regardless of what they can tell, will say that I want a one-way and it's going to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. If we want a one-way or stop sign, anything else like that, that has to go through your department, and you need to do a traffic study, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Councilman Brown, finish it.
Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Councilman Mohammed.
Thank you, Council President. I will tell the audience, in all fairness, I don't know chemistry, I don't know physics, but I do know foolishness when I see it. And I would ask people to come into this chamber, to respect the chamber, respect the government, respect the elected officials. I'm not a person where you can be implicit, but you can be very explicit with me. But to come and disrespect any member of this council, it's absolutely shameful. Anyone wants to reach me, they can reach me. I don't want someone calling me drunk at 11 and 12 o'clock at night. Expect no answers from me. I see it as a form of harassment. And I will say I represent the Fourth Ward, not the people, not some nebulous concept. And I'm not here for entertainment purposes. Thank you.
Councilman Roman.
Thank you, Council President. I just want a couple things to say. Councilwoman Norman, I'm happy that people are buying houses in the First Ward. I hope those are one of the 600 or more foreclosures that we have in the city. But those people, Councilwoman Norman, aren't getting tax abatements. They're paying 48 to 49% of their property taxes into the school board, where 25 children in one, if there were 25 children in one apartment building with a tax pilot program, they're not paying anything into, and that's what I'd like to see change. We could pass a thing to give them some money. I earn the respect of my people, Mr. Mack, and I vote with them. as well as I want to direct that to Councilman Mohammed, and I will always vote with what's right by them, and I think every member up here should do that. And just a quick roundup, I want to re-mention the Battle of the Badges, 10th annual. It's Friday night, September 21st, 7 p.m. They open at 6 p.m. Please come out. Linden versus the Sheriff's Office. Let's have a good night of it, people.
Thank you. Councilman Yamakaitis? Councilwoman Yamakaitis?
Thank you, Council President. I, too, have been elected by the residents in the 8th Ward, and I'm compelled to speak up tonight because my phone is blowing up. I have many phone calls to return when I get home or tomorrow because it's probably going to be too late. It's easy to say not in my ward to support something, but don't put it in my ward. Believe me, if you support retail sale of marijuana and want to put it in somebody else's ward, you should consider doing it in your own first. I will stand up solid for the 8th Ward. We have 2 playgrounds there. We have the biggest taxpayer in the city of Linden with Phillips 66, Cogen, Infinium. You know, we have a working class neighborhood, but we will stand solid to say, not in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Hickey?
Yes, Tanya, I was just going to mention, and maybe I'm out of line from what I hear from the others, but that I would add chairwoman of the accident committee, and we have a really great lieutenant who is taking care of traffic right now. He's also just working, him and his team, on School 9. I'd be happy to add you to the agenda. I know how involved you are in the schools, and you wouldn't be up here complaining if it wasn't a real issue. But they are working really hard around all areas of the city, and I'm very, very pleased with the job that they're doing. They've been incredible, addressing all issues. Lastly, I can't believe some of these one-minute speeches that we had. Extremely embarrassing to even be sitting up here sometimes anymore. In order to get respect, you must give respect to others. And yeah, pretty embarrassing. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, I'd like to talk a little bit about pilot agreements. You know, just want to remind people that, you know, a great deal of time and thought goes into these agreements. We don't just come up with random numbers. I want to remind everybody that these pilot agreements that we've entered into have given the residents of Linden a tax reduction this year. And prior to the tax reduction, we eliminated your garbage fee. So I think we're doing something, and it's working. I just would like to see some of the other branches of government do the same thing. I think the numbers are not clear on how many children are in these buildings. I tend to see a lower number than has been projected by the councilman in the 6th Ward. And last but not least, many of you council members have always talked about your vote, you know, according to the residents in your district. But I want to remind you guys that an abstention is not a vote. Okay, so when there's an issue here that we're confronted with, a simple yes or no will do. Do not abstain. Abstaining is essentially like a cop-out. So vote yes or no. Thank you.
Mr. Antonelli.
Thank you, Council President. So just as a clarification, I did not indicate that members of the public could not question items on the personnel report. It was my advice was directed at the members of council, and I had just reminded them about the Open Public Meetings Act, which allows us to exclude members of the public from discussions of personnel items. And I'm actually reading right from it. Personnel matters related to employment, appointment, termination of current or prospective employees, unless all individuals who could be adversely affected request in writing to have that matter discussed at a public meeting. So my comments were in specific response to Councilman Strano's question with regard to the personnel report. When I had first became the city attorney back in 2015, there wasn't any real discussion of the personnel report by members of council. That had subsequently changed, and so we're just trying to restore that back to the way it was, but certainly any member of the public has every right to question any item on the agenda, including the personnel report.
Okay, first, I guess I would like to apologize. I misunderstood when Ms. Antonelli said that, because I was the one who stopped you guys from asking questions. So it was my fault, a misunderstanding here, okay? I apologize over that. Next time, be more clear. My fault. Again, I'm sorry to you, Mr. Principal, you both had questions. I apologize. Second, Ms. Tanya, I'll gladly work with you. And not just Saul, any school that you want to, and we'll go, we'll get a consensus, we'll talk to people. If you need to try to convince them, we'll do. Whatever is the safety for the kids. Give me a call, I'll gladly work with you. Finally, if somebody comes knocking on your door trying to sell you something and they have a badge from Linden, that does not mean that we endorse the service that they're selling or whatever they're selling. It just means that they got a permit from Linden to go door to door. We're not endorsing anything. Linden is not selling anything. We do have to, they have to get a permit from us, and we give them a badge, so you are able to see that they got a permit. Okay? Otherwise, it was, nobody died today, so it's a calm night. The following council meeting will be as follows. Council conference meeting Monday, October 15th, 2018 at 6 p.m. in the council conference room, City Hall 301 Northwood Avenue. Council conference meeting prior to the council meeting Tuesday, October 16th, 2018 at 6 p.m. in council conference room, City Hall 301 Northwood Avenue. Council meeting Tuesday, October 16th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in the council chamber, City Hall 301 Northwood Avenue. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mrs. Ormond?
Yes, we did it before
Javik.
10.
Brown?
Yes.
Mohammed?
Yes.
Roman? Strano?
Yes.
Yamakaitis?
Yes.
Medina?
Yes,
Hickey?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes. We're adjourned. Everybody have a good night, safe.